Hey guys, this is Leather Leone of Chastain, and you're experiencing Poppitt's Corner. Love and Dio. Metal!
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Poppitt's Corner. I'm joined by somebody who lives very far away but decided to stop by, and I really appreciate his time here. Mr. AD, not AJ, not AC, but AD. How you doing, man?
Dude, I'm good.
Thanks for coming on the show,
thanks
man.
for
I appreciate
having
it.
me, man.
I appreciate it, dude.
Thank you, man.
How you been, man?
I've been good, man. You know, life is really good to me right now. You know, I'm kind of in a new version and self. You know, I start my own business. You know, trying to just
What's the
be my own
business?
boss. You know, I detailing cars, man.
Cool.
You know, that's something that I know how to do pretty decently to make a good coin to fund the music.
You make it pretty and,
and
you
the
do it
gaming
and you do it decently.
lifestyle. Yeah.
I like it.
So yeah, dude, that's really what's popping in my world is just, focusing on starting a business now and all that, Music's
Fuck
still
yeah,
there.
dude. I'm stoked you're here, man. So you're well, we'll get to where you're located now. But when we saw this beer here, so we're gonna have a beverage here if
Yeah.
everybody doesn't mind. It's actually from Eugene, Oregon, and it's kind of fitting for this podcast episode because it's definitely domination mode.
That's right, total domination.
IPA. So I'm looking forward to testing it. Let's test this out right now. real
Cheers,
quick,
dude.
before we get started. Oh, I like it.
That is good.
Oh, it's pretty good actually. Okay, kudos. So let's get started. The basis of the show, obviously, I'm gonna go through your entire musical career, and hopefully you'll help me fill in all the gaps that I don't know about
All right.
yourself. So if you're ready, I'm ready, and let's get started. So tell me, and I always start off this way. Kind of the first time you remember hearing music.
The first time I remember hearing music was I was in my car seat, little guy, baby Tony, baby AD. And, I remember hearing The Boys Are Back in Town by Thin Lizzy, dude. And just that, the boys are back in town. Just hearing that, head was bobbing, and that triggered it. And then after that, I started hearing like Van Halen and stuff. My mom was always playing classic rock around me. And I really have her to thank for the birth of music in my life because, she always had the classic rock going. And, she wasn't a musician or anything, but she always enjoyed music and had it playing. And that's how I was like, I would hear it. And subconsciously in the mind, that planted that seed that, hey, man, one day you're going to want to do this and make this type of stuff. You know?
Now, what age were you?
I would say I was probably like little guy, dude, like 5 years old. My dad was in the military, so me and my mom were, together a lot when he had to go overseas and stuff. So I just always remember hearing The Boys Are Back in Town.
That was your anthem? And
That's
so
my anthem. And if people ever ask, hey, what's your favorite band? I always say Thin Lizzy. It's always like Thin Lizzy, and then goes to Loudness for me because I'm a huge Akira Takasaki fan. Man.
He's rad, dude. Super underrated, and just as a band, I always like the Loudness is what I call him.
Hell yeah, dude. Crazy Doctor. That's all they could tell me when I met them. I met them one time, and all I could tell them was just like, Akira's number one. Akira's number one. Because to me, he is number one. And, I was talking to the singer and the bass player, and all I was just telling was like, man, you guys are the best. Freaking Crazy Doctor, one of my favorite songs. And they're just like, Crazy Doctor, Crazy Doctor. It was so sick, man. I love Loudness.
That's cool. Where did you meet him? When did you meet him?
Shoot, man. So that was probably like a good 3 years ago. And that was up in Colorado where, I'm living now.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah, but back to where, you're asking me, yeah, I think the first time I, started being like, man.
Kind of like
music.
aware of, what music was.
What is this? This is amazing. Thin Lizzy.
Okay.
As a little kid.
That's kind of a cool start. I've never heard anybody say Thin Lizzy before when it came to, the first kind of memory of it. So, how old were you at this time?
So I was probably like 5, dude, and I was a little guy, and at the time I didn't have any cool brothers or anybody older to show me who this is and the discography and all that. So I just heard the song, and then life went back to being a kid, just watching, Rocco's Modern Life and the good stuff, and eating snacks and all that, just being a kid. It wasn't till like way later on into my teens I started thinking about like, hey, I want to pick up a guitar and
Well,
do all that.
what was your first instrument?
I would say my first instrument was guitar. My dad bought me like a little guitar when I was a kid, back when I was 5 and all that, and I used to just strum around and play it, and I'd watch him play songs and stuff that he picked up and learned because he played a little. He wasn't a huge guitar player. And I was always like, whoa, how is he making those sounds come out of that? Every time I play, it's just crazy racket. Like, what is he doing, And I remember that was like the first instrument that came around, but it was just a toy, And
So did he teach you how to like hold the guitar or anything?
he couldn't even teach me anything because he's not a musician, and he just would play around with it because I think when he was younger, when he was a child, he always told me, that was his dream, was to play music, but his background and things like that didn't allow that, and here it is, kind of like I get to chase the dream for him. I think that's what happened, and maybe
I can
I'm
relate.
living that out for him,
Yeah, I can
And-
kind of relate to that. My dad was the same way, so I feel that. Did you start to notice like a change of like your musical taste at that time too when you picked up the guitar, or did you go back to like listening to Thin Lizzy?
And
and
this was the thing, was like I had this little toy guitar and I would just wail on it, and then like I used to see this little cartoon when I was a kid, and it was like this claymation cowboy, and he would always like sing, "After these messages, we'll be right back." And I like was trying to learn that song too for some reason, and like I remember performing it at my like little birthday party I had and all that stuff, and I think that was probably like maybe the first little taste of performing I had, very little. Like I just kept repeating that, and like the crowd there, I mean, they're just being nice because I was just a little kid having a good
They didn't
time.
want to hurt your feelings.
Yeah, but you know what? That triggered it, I think. I think that really was like, whoa, this is cool. I kind of want to do some more of this stuff. But
and get the feeling like you had just like playing on stage.
yeah, I mean, I think all this stuff planted seeds in me at a very young age, It was just seeing music and being curious about it. How does it work? How do you play that instrument? How do you get that crowd to kind of react to you? And
Now, when you, sorry to cut you off, when you after the toy guitar, right?
Mm-hmm.
When did you start to say, "Hey, I would like to get a physical
Dude, that
guitar"?
and then that didn't happen until I would say like I turned like 11, and I was always like, you know what? I think I want to play guitar. I really want to get serious. I want to go for this. So at the time, I had to join like a music class that was at the school, and I had to, be in the class and pay like a fee to get like those acoustic guitars that everybody in the class gets. And,
was it a flamenco style? Like
no,
the
it's
nylon
steel string.
Okay.
And I was just doing "Mary Had a Little Lamb" and the "Saints Come Marching In" or whatever. And I was so horrible at the beginning that the guitar teacher literally said, "I'm going to put you in drama because I don't want to fail you." And that shit crushed me, dude. That shit fucking crushed me at 11-year-old Tony. And I came home, man, and I realized, like, okay, well, now I got to go to drama. I had to leave my guitar because it was rented. And I was like, damn, I don't got a guitar. I can't chase this. And, my dad came home from work that day and saw me all sad. And I told him what happened, and, it was really cool. I remember it was Cinco de Mayo. I remember, and my dad comes home with a guitar, man. And it was one of those Squires, with the amp and the guitar, the combo pack.
Oh, the combo pack, dude. You and Rick are the same.
Yo, when I heard Rick start off like that, I was like, yeah. I was like, that's so cool. That
You can't go wrong with the combo pack,
hey,
dude.
that combo pack starts a lot of people off, man.
Do you still have the amp with that came with it?
I fucked that amp up.
Oh, okay.
I still have that
Okay.
guitar though.
Oh, okay.
I still have that
Okay.
guitar though.
Yeah, we always have our firsts. I don't know
Right.
what that is. Even if they suck and don't work, we like to
Right.
just keep them around just to have it.
It's a memory, It's like you always are like, damn, I'm still doing it, and I came this
Right?
far now. Like, god damn, I didn't think I was gonna stay doing this shit. There was a lot because I think every musician has those points where sometimes you, should I keep doing it, or sometimes people can't do it for reasons,
Right.
and if you're still doing it and you still haven't given up, like, and having these instruments there to remind you, like, hey, who
Yeah.
you are and where you came from, like,
Right.
it's always a nice little thing to have around.
Right, little momentum.
Exactly.
I totally agree. So when you got the Squire, right? What was kind of the first riffs? What were kind of the first riffs that you were jamming on?
Shit, I think it's almost everybody's first riff, which is Smoke on the Water.
Okay.
It was that. And then I was just like,
Because back in those days too,
yeah.
that was kind of the hot take. It was Learn Smoke on the Water or Crazy Train.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so it was probably that one, and then once I learned, those power chords, and I saw like, oh shit, I could play this shit all over here and there. And that was kind of like, boom, that's when it started really kicking in.
So you didn't get discouraged from like trying to learn chords and that bullshit? Because I did.
Yeah, and it was like once somebody showed me, and I was like had that moment where I was like, I got it. Like then I could just I ran with it, dude. And then I think people were like, whoa, wait, slow down. Like you still need to learn this and this theory. And I was kind of like, I just want to make music, baby. That's it. I just want to write. I just want to jam. Because that shit was just. It was just so fun. It was so fun to just go right into it, and yeah.
Were you the only? I guess technically the answer is no, but were you aware of other kids doing the same things as you, or did you feel like you were the only one that was playing guitar at that time?
I had only one buddy at the time. His name was Ben Cook, and yeah, he had a guitar too, and his mother was a musician. She was actually a great pianist. And, yeah, I would go over to his house, and that's where he would, like, show me things and stuff, and that's kind of how I got the start, was the Ben.
Did you guys jam at all, or?
And we didn't start no bands after that either, really, because then I was still a military brat. My dad was still in the service.
And where were you living
we
at?
moved. At that time, we were living in Colorado Springs.
Okay.
Yeah. And
Wow,
then,
you moved all over the place.
Dude, I mean, I was born in Okinawa, Japan. My mother and father were both serving in the military, and that's how they both met. And they ended up, my dad was like, hey, I'm getting stationed out in Japan, and he's like, I want you to come with me.
So because it's a military base, you're technically still an American citizen?
Yeah,
okay.
so like, I was born, it's like citizen abroad or something like that. Like, when you look at my birth certificate, it like tells the city in Okinawa and like all that stuff, but it was on like American soil, like a military hospital and all that stuff.
That's so cool. I never met one of you guys before, so I'm glad to
Heck yeah,
glad
dude.
to know that. I didn't know that aspect of you. So, after the whole Ben Cook thing happened, when did you start to get into like I guess a heavier style to where you played like where you wanted to play a heavier style? Like when did that come into play?
And I think like at the time, for what was going on then, it was like a lot of like Blink 182, Sum 41, like cuz I didn't have no brothers, I didn't have nobody there like, yo dog, like you need to listen to this, the right stuff,
I still like all
but
those
I
bands
still,
you just named.
coming back, I still love those bands. I still like love the bands I jammed when I was younger, but I wasn't like right away Slayer and Metallica.
Did you get into Kid Rock?
Dude,
Because I did.
I was more of the Limp Bizkit dude.
Oh, okay.
Because I like Wes Borland a lot, dude. Like that guy's one of my guitar heroes too.
He
so
was
outlandish.
always underrated as a guitar player.
Yeah, that guy's an alien. He plays guitar unlike anybody else, and the man puts on a show. And that's I mean, that's a lot. That's
Especially
cool.
at that time when we were
Yeah.
like kind of like being molded.
Yeah.
So it made a big impression, I
Uh-huh.
guess, on us both. So, sorry, let's get back to it. So, what were some of the bands that you got into that were heavier? The Limp Bizkits and
Yeah, so it was like, that was coming out. And then, of course, when I started seeing stuff like System of a Down and, Slipknot and all these bands started coming out, I started getting like, oh, like, damn, that's pretty heavy, like, I was not used to hearing things like that. And I would say it probably wasn't like, when it started getting heavier for me, wasn't until like, I probably was turning like 14, 15, and that's when I was like, I want to get a little heavier. I like this distortion button, I want to crank
Right.
that up.
So did you get into like some of the speed metal bands afterwards, or?
I would say like once I heard Maiden, it was over. Like that band is everyone. I don't got to say it. They're the band, and everybody knows it. When I saw that you could, even though I was listening to Thin Lizzy as a child, I didn't think of the twin harmony guitar attacks. Then, I just was thinking that just sounds cool. But when I got older and was able to kind of use the teenage eyes and ears, I was like blown away at the stage presence, the musicianship, and that's when things got fast for me and things got like, whoa, this is more than just
and
what I saw before.
And you didn't have like a circle, like a circle of friends that liked this stuff. It was kind of just
No, and it's like it was lucky for me because once I moved from Colorado Springs, from Ben and all that, like my dad then retired from the Air Force, and we're then living in Albuquerque. That's when we went back.
Why Albuquerque?
So my mother is Native American and Irish. She had a Native American father and an Irish mother, and he's from Albuquerque. They actually are from a reservation called Siama out there, and my mom just wanted to be closer to home, closer to family. She was also serving in the military, so she was just like, I think that was always one of her goals and dreams was when she was done, or done supporting my father serving, we're all gonna go back to home to Albuquerque.
Okay. Now, when you got to Albuquerque, was this right around the time that you had discovered Maiden, or?
So at Albuquerque, they got this radio station called 94 Rock, and I think it's a good radio station if like you've never heard metal in your life before and you want a good concept, because this radio station was playing Dokken, they were playing Maiden, of course, Motorhead, Metallica, Slayer, Queensryche,
Priest, I'm assuming.
Priest.
Yeah.
All the bands that you need to get introduced to, this radio station was playing it. And I remember, just being a kid and being like, damn, I like this song. What is the song called? Don't Fear the Reaper, Blue Oyster Cult. Like, whoa, like that's when just shit started coming more and more and more. And then I wasn't even just liking heavier stuff. I was enjoying more classic rock as well, because, once I saw the whole classic rock thing and living in Albuquerque and hearing 94 Rock.
Did they play it all day?
All day, dude.
Oh,
That's all they were.
So
and
it wasn't
didn't
just
play
a fucking 9 to 11 thing, and
yeah, and I think back then they weren't playing much new stuff at the time. It was all just the classics, classic rock station. And man, that sparked it, and that's what made me go. And YouTube was coming out at the time, so I was able to get on YouTube and start looking up stuff I liked, and just diving in it, man.
Now, when did you decide I want to play in a band?
Shoot, probably after I saw that, heard all the stuff on 94 Rock and was getting to bands like Blue Oyster. I was like really into 70s rock going into my like 14s, 15-year-olds ages, and I was like really wanting to be 70s as fuck, dude. Like I was wearing the bell bottoms, the tight shirts, of course the hair was there, and I wanted to be Jimmy Page back then really bad. I like loved 70s rock, man, hardcore. And but then once high school kicked in, that's when it was like, oh, I kind of want something more heavier. Once high school was starting to end, that's when I was like, I want things to get heavier, because I started meeting then I met people that showed me stuff like that.
So
helped
you
out.
got into it kind of later.
Yeah, it was like weird. Like I have all this memories of like having pieces of music around, but it didn't fully start up till later.
That's kind of interesting to me, because in high school it's like the age where the pivotal age for a musician, because that's when you discover all sort, like, your foundation
Yeah.
of what you're going to be listening to pretty much till your like dying day. So it's kind of interesting that you say that you got into it a little bit later. So when, I guess, why was that? Was there a specific reason, or did you have other activities that you were doing, like sports or something in the meantime, or?
Yeah, dude, I actually was into karate. I was doing martial arts for a while too. And it wasn't like it took over my life or anything. I was just really into Jackie Chan and Bruce Lee and Jet Li and all those dudes, and it was good to do that, But guitar was always something that just like, I want to go all the way with that one day. I really do.
Well, what did karate teach you that you kind of put to use for guitar? Like, what was there a parallel to like the mentality of karate? Because karate is very patient, and I know playing guitar is very, requires a lot of patience too. So did you apply that mentality to anything of that, or was it just separate?
I feel like it did add some patience into my life. And I always tell my dad this, because what his passion was in life was fighting. Like, my dad is like, you see me and you think, oh, he must have like a small dad or something. But my dad's actually pretty like big, bulky dude, and he was a fighter his whole life. Like, he was a boxer, and he was then, once MMA stuff came out, he was getting into doing that. He never like competed, but like, yeah, my dad is a huge, into all that fighting stuff, and he would always tell me like, oh, what is that stuff gonna teach you? You need to learn how to real fight and all this stuff. That's just Hollywood shit, But one thing that I tell him that it did teach me was camaraderie. Like just being around other kids, learning with other kids, and even though you're learning stuff to, fuck each other up, you also are being taught like to be humble. You're also being taught to like just take care of your mind, body, and spirit. And at a young age, I'm very thankful that it like that was handed to me. That they gave that to me through being there. So I'd say that's what it taught me.
That's cool. That is really cool. So when after it, pretty much after you were getting out of high school, when did you form your first band?
Well, I'm sorry, I'm kind of like
no,
all over the place. We have to go back, man. It's like we're jumping in this time machine, like the Terminator, just appearing,
Nobody's naked here, folks, by the way.
Yeah. Dude, so high school, here I am. I'm getting into classic rock real heavily. I want to be 70s. I want to wear the bell bottoms, and I have this kid in my guitar class. I took a guitar class freshman year, and I have this kid. His name's Esteban, and I saw he's wearing a Led Zeppelin shirt too, and that was when it was like, oh shit, like we gotta hang out, man, because he was the only other kid fucking has the same stuff, and he and I just kept jamming and jamming and jamming. His dad let us, jam. His dad was a musician, so he let me come over and just play and play and play, and I was like, dude, let's start a band. We need to start a band, and he was like, yeah. I got a good friend. I got a friend I've known since grade school. And that friend was James Gonzalez. And he was like, he's going to come over, so let me call him. So he rings him up, and I guess he was just like, it didn't look too good, because then he hung up, and he was like, I guess James can't come, so I'm actually going to call another guy, Ben Segura from Impelled Offering.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so Esteban calls James back. I don't know why he called him back, but he's like, look, dude, if you can't come, then we're going to have to call Ben to come down here. Like that.
Wow. So it's either you or him, and he's
Yeah.
like, it's not gonna be him. So.
And you know what, dude? Here comes James, man. Rolls up with his kit. You know,
Did he have a car then, or his parents dropped
his
him off?
parents dropped
Yeah.
him off. I mean, that's how young we were. And he was a sophomore at the time. And I was a freshman. Him and Esteban were both sophomores, and I was a freshman. So like they were always grade up above me, and yeah, he called him over, and I'll just never forget. You know, he was like, "Hey, my buddy Ben, let me borrow his double bass pedal, and I'm working on this track. We're trying to learn how to play this song." I was like, "What are you trying to learn?" He's like, "Painkiller." I never heard Painkiller. I didn't know about that then. And when I saw him do that fucking intro, dude, I was like, this kid. And he was only like, at the time, I think he was only like 15, dude. He was really young. And it was because he's been playing music his whole life. That kid has literally been playing music his whole life. His father is an amazing trumpet player in Albuquerque. Like, for the bands that are big and they like, hey, we need to hire a horn section, they always call that guy because he's the shit. And so he grew up having jazz in his family, you know, all the time, just jazz stuff. He was a jazz drummer before he was a metal drummer. So when he showed up, the guy he had the skills, man. And that's when we were like, wow, we got the pieces to start a band. And that's the start of it, man.
That's kind of cool. So it was just you and the gentleman with the Zeppelin T-shirt and James only did. So there's no bass player involved.
So there's no bass player
or
yet.
singer.
Yeah, no singer. And at the time, since we were only listening to like bands like, you know, Zeppelin, and, you know, Blue Oyster Cult, and all that 70s stuff that we were into, you know, Pink Floyd, and we were like really thinking we had to have a singer who could really belt it, really sing. And so we were always looking for a singer, but we just couldn't find one. But since we were so into like psychedelic stuff, we just were instrumental. I mean, the band was called and then the first band name was called Psychedelic Daze with the D-A-Z-E.
Oh, like Dazed and Confused? Okay.
Psychedelic Daze. That was the first fucking, like, real group, man. And we were just playing instrumental stuff.
Did you ever record with them?
Dude, we do have, like, I think it was, like, 2 or 3 songs of that stuff. And the only person who has that, bro, is James. He still has it.
Wow.
He'll bust it out with, like, you know, when we were, like, hanging out back in the day. He always would just be like, I still got it. And we'd listen to it.
Where did you record it at?
We recorded at Esteban's house. His father, you know, like, his father let us jam there. He was really supportive. He had his own studio. Like, he was getting Pro Tools at the time, and he was like, let me record you guys. And we're like, hell yeah. And that's how it happened.
Did you set up, like, individually and do it, or was it as a band?
It was as a band. And it was tough to record that way when we first started out.
Well, you had never been in a studio before, so
Yeah.
I guess another question that comes to mind is, I guess, what was the essence or the energy just of the room, just being in a recording studio for the first time? Like, how did you feel?
I felt like I just wanted to do such a good job, man, that to where it was just gonna keep getting better and better. I think I always just put that in my head that, like, you know what, just play what you know, just play with what you got, and you know what, just keep going for it, and something's gonna happen. Something's gonna happen. Don't stop.
And at this time, you were using the Squire still with the combo amp.
Yeah.
So that's all you had.
And that thing was cranking to James's drum set, doing Painkiller and all that shit. I mean, I wasn't playing it with him, but I mean, I was trying to match up to, you know, be as loud with him, and you know, we were cranking those things. Those things blew, man. They're done. They're toasted.
Now, what was the scene like in Albuquerque at that time? Like, did you guys have a metal scene or a rock scene, or was it just...
It was going on, man. It actually was going on. Believe it or not.
And this is like the mid-2000s?
Yeah, I would say this is like the early, you know, mid-ish, real earlies, like...
2004, 2005?
Yeah, I would say there. Exactly. And there was bands, dude. There was bands running around. We had bands like Ultimatum, which was like a Christian heavy metal band.
Right, Scott Waters.
I watched
his YouTube channel.
Yeah, dude. And then we had, the OGs, man, I would say, like, Dom Dimas from Torture Victim. Like, Torture Victim was going on then, too, before I was even doing metal, dude. Like, Dom, to me, he's a huge part of the music scene out there, because he's still doing it, still chasing for it.
Wow.
That guy's been around, dude. I mean, he was like one
I
of the
love
first
Dom, dude.
dudes. Yeah, great guy, man. And just he was there, man. I remember being in like Psychedelic Days and hearing about him because he was Ben's cousin. He's actually related to Ben.
Ben
Yeah.
Cook? Was his name?
No, Ben Segura from
Segura. Okay,
from
gotcha,
Impaled
gotcha.
Offering. Yeah, and so I would always hear about this guy named Dom, and then we started kind of like the band started getting heavier because we kind of got a singer, and we're more heavier, and we changed the name to Shadow for War, and that's when we were getting heavier because people like James and stuff were showing me Judas Priest and all this stuff, and my mind was getting blown, and then freaking Maiden and all this stuff, and then that's when it's like, you know what, I want to kind of go more metal. And we were going that route, and when as a band, when we finally changed the name to Psychedelic Days to Shadow for War, and we had like a singer, we ended up playing a show with Torture Victim, and like that's when I first saw Dom and all that, and at the time I just did not think like, oh, I'm gonna play with that guy and do all this stuff that we ended up doing together. I didn't even think that was gonna happen. It was just in my head, I was just like, oh, that was a cool show, and got off the stage and just never thought like, oh man, I'm gonna make music with that person later on,
Right. That's crazy that he was doing it in like 2004, 2005. Though I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Dom,
dude, he's been going for a minute, man. I think like he's been doing it since his early teens. He had the brainchild of it, and he has a lot of people have played in that band, and a lot of people had to come in and come out because he's just been doing it for so long. And dude, I mean, I'll always remember Dom was one of the OGs of Albuquerque, man. One of them.
That's kind of cool. That's really cool, dude. So, I guess what impressed you about Dom's like energy where when you first saw him like with Torture Victim, like what impressed you about him?
What impressed me, man, was just that, the band was always like, he always was just going hard for his band, even when things weren't the best or not all members were there. And, in the head and, being good members in the band. He's had to go through shit members, I think. We all do. And but I think what impressed me was that he always was drawing his own art. He was always just pushing his ideas and creating. And that was always really inspiring, was just seeing somebody always creating and then putting it into his band. And I realized, like, oh, shit, like, you can draw up shit for your band and you can do all that stuff and little DIY. That impressed me a lot with him. And he's a great artist if you ever can check out his art.
Was he kind of the only one that you knew that was doing the DIY approach, like where he was like drawing his own stuff, or were there other artists that were?
I'm sure there was other people doing it, but for me, who I got to see like in the flesh doing it and going for it, it was, I would see this guy named Dom doing it, and I was just like, that's fucking cool. And I would always hear stories like, yeah, he's been doing it. He's been in the scene for a while. And I would hear it, and
So you get, let me go back real quick. You record the demo. It was Psychedelic Days. Now, were you starting to do shows at this point?
We were doing like weird battle the band stuff. And just like little gigs like that. It's funny because one of the first shows that Psychedelic Days did, Mikey was at the show, and he like saw the band and everything.
Oh, Mikey, we should mention his last name.
Mikey Armijo.
Yes.
Yeah, Thrashing Mikey, and he was there at the show, and it was funny. He saw us as that act. But then, we went on to being going heavier, and we became Shadow for War, and then we started playing with Dom, doing shows and stuff like
with
that.
Torture Victim.
Torture Victim.
That's a weird
here
lineup.
And there. It
where,
was.
Where was that show at? The venue?
It is the legendary Compound. For the people that are in the 505 that remember that place, well, that's where that all went down. Was the Compound.
So
It wasn't there when you When you
Yeah, I don't remember that
when you were
place.
playing out there, that place got shut down. That place is no longer there. I mean, it's there, but it's something else now.
The compound you're talking
The
about?
compound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys had a lot of, and we'll get to it later on in the story, but Albuquerque always had like a lot of like DIY venues
They did.
as opposed to like legit places. I don't know why that was, if there was
Right.
like a permit thing.
Like
that
you
was,
notice, like, oh, it's a venue, but they're not serving alcohol, or it's not like a real venue.
Not even that.
Type.
It's just like, oh, it's a place to play, but like it's in the middle of like a neighborhood.
Yeah.
Or it's like at a crack house or
Oh
a,
yeah, well
or
there's places like that. There were some venues like that popping up during the time you went. Oh, that shit was like
that was
really
2012.
going,
That was way later than what
for
we're
some
talking
reason
about.
that was like going heavy at the time. So yeah, I mean
We'll get to that. I
we'll
want to
get
talk
to
about
that.
that.
Oh
'cause
yeah.
I want to know some insight, if you don't mind, as
Oh,
why
yeah.
that actually came to
Yeah.
be. But back in like the 2004-2005 era, so what transpired with the first project that you did with James and
So
and
then
Ben?
like, after all that, really it was just like James and I we were really close. And had all these ideas and dreams, and the buddy the other buddy I was jamming with, Esteban, who I started all this with, he was kind of going through a weird time. He like ran away from home, was living out of his van, and me and James were just like, dude, we kind of can't play with this guy because he's got so much just going on, and we need a certain amount of focus, and we want to go a certain route.
Mhm.
And so we always had that in the back of our heads, like if we got to go do something different, like, are you in with me, man? And he was like, yeah, I'm in with you, dude. And we stuck like that for a good amount of time. And this was when.
Why do you think why do you think that was? I'm sorry to keep cutting you off.
Oh no, not at all. And I think it was just because he loved metal too. He had an uncle who showed him all the good shit. From of course, Judas Priest, which I would say is his favorite band. Then to showing me Accept. I mean, even James showed me Loudness. And this uncle of his, I can't remember his name, but he was a huge part of like me hearing all this stuff through James. And yeah, we always wanted to stay jamming.
So
We
you
always
clicked
wanted
on
to
that
chase
level,
that.
though. You clicked on like a musical level.
We
That's
clicked
kinda
on the
cool.
musical level, and people, I think what his uncle told him one time was when they saw us performing at the Battle of the Bands, he told James, like, I'm just going to be real with you. Like, you guys are good, but you and that long-haired guy, when he was talking about me, you guys need to stick together. No matter what happens or how things go, you two need to stick together because I see something in you two guys.
That's so cool,
And I think
dude.
that snapped in his head, like, yeah, I gotta kick it with this guy.
I wonder what he saw. Like, I wonder, like, if it was like just you guys clicked on a. You guys like the same style of music, right? The same band. So I wonder if that played any part, like that connection level, where it's like, yeah, we like this. Oh, let's take this idea and fucking make it this. But but you still are connected on a musical level that maybe the other guy or guys weren't in psychedelic days. So
Yeah.
that's kind of interesting to notate.
Yeah, it's. I never thought about it too. Like, what made him
I
want to
wonder-
stick with me
yeah, I
for
wonder-
that long that we did stick around. But yeah, it's like we had this band and we had this other guy in our band who was just like, we probably gotta start something else or start thinking about something else.
So when did that come into play? Like, when was your next project?
So James and I, we'd still jam. He just lived down the street from me, so I'd always go down there, play around. And it's weird, it's still high school, and we're getting older. James is about to graduate. They're finally seniors now, and I'm like a junior. And I start running into these younger cats, and these younger people, I didn't think I was gonna, have a history with these people, because then I had to redo PE because I was just ditching all the time, man. I didn't want to go to school. I was like, Lords of Dogtown came out, and I was all about skating and just like, fuck school. I just want to jam. I just want to skate. I was like just all about that. So I had to redo PE, bro. And
That sucks, dude.
at PE, I had to do it. They're like, not only are you going to redo PE, you're going to do it with the freshmen. And I was
Did you
like
have
a
to
junior.
run the mile? Was in PE? Did you guys have the thing where you ran the mile every week?
It wasn't like every week, but they had it for like a semester thing.
God.
Like, and if you it didn't matter if you didn't complete, but if you had to show effort. And I felt bad for like some people that it was real tough, and they were like, "No, I'm sitting out." But I mean, if you tried, they'd give you a good decent grade. But here I am having to redo PE, and I'm at this locker. I'm with these freshman kids, and I'm just like, yeah, whatever. Let's just going through the motions. And I look down, and there's this kid at the locker, man, and he's wearing this Megadeth shirt. And I'm like, dude, that's a cool shirt, man. And that was Mikey. That was Mikey Armijo. And I met him in the locker room. And ever since then, we always just talk, and he'd be like, hey, man, I saw you play at that Battle of the Bands. And I was like, oh, you saw that? He's like, yeah, you guys were good, man. And I was like, hey, thanks, dude. Like, and we kind of always would just talk. And we just only see each other at the locker, He had a different PE teacher than mine. So we only kind of just met up in that locker room. I had that locker room heavy metal talk, you know what I'm saying? And that's how that started with him. But at the time, I didn't think like, oh, I'm going to have to call this guy in or ask him to be in the band later. I wasn't thinking about that. I just was just like, hey, that's a cool kid. Like, that's cool. We could, met a new buddy. And at the time, too, like, that's when, and he was like freshman. He was real young. And then I saw this like really tall, blonde, blue-eyed guy walking around. And
kind of heavy set at that time too, wasn't he? Like
yeah, and we never talked, or we just never like. It was weird. Like I'd see this guy, and this is Taylor, and he was with Jerry from
The
The Conjuring, and I saw them together, and they were like best friends too at the time because they were always together.
Now, were they wearing like vests at that time?
No, dude. But I would see Taylor wearing this freaking Anthrax shirt all the time. It was Among the Living,
Classic record.
Yeah,
dude.
he was always
Classic.
wearing that freaking shirt, dude, with that weird ass freaking. I don't know, was it a priest dude?
It was
or
a
something?
preacher with his hat, like,
yeah, he's like that. And I was like, yeah, that's fucking cool. And I'd always see these two kids together, and I guess Estevan at the time, who were still jamming Shadow for War. This is Shadow for War. He started hanging out with all these other kids when he was homeless, and one of those kids was Taylor. So I started like seeing this Taylor kid, and we started talking, and Taylor was like, he had dreams. He wanted to be a musician. He wanted a band. And I think when he saw that, hey, these guys are doing it, I got to talk to them. I need to get in with these guys. That's when I started noticing, like, oh, here he is. He's talking to us, and he started talking to me. And, when we just talked about just music all the time. And when we did talk, we're smoking weed, or we're just being kids, And finally, one day, I drop out of high school. James, Estevan, they graduated already. Mikey, Taylor, they're still in, high school. I dropped out, but I would still go to the skate park and go skating. And one day I remember just leaving, and I just see that tall kid waving me down, waving me down hard. And I stopped, and I was like, "Hey, what up, Taylor? How's it going, man?" It's like, "Hey, dude, yo, man, we should hang out. I got all these CDs," and he like had like literally
so cool,
a
dude.
fucking pockets. I mean, both pockets, dude. Even the back pockets, full of fucking CDs, dude. And it was all the good shit. I mean, this is when I started getting into thrash stuff, dude. And this was like, I saw this kid, and I was just like, you know what? All right, dude, let's kick it. And we did. And that's when he showed me a lot of cool stuff, a lot of cool bands, and we're like, I remember even like, hanging out, because he was hanging out with a bunch of other kids that were doing that, like, thrash and stuff. And I was always hearing about this band called Fueled by Fire all the time. And I was just like,
So this was probably what 2006.
like, dude, and this was like the MySpace days. So this is where kids were listening to thrash is back on fucking the MySpace player, you know.
Okay, so this is when Spread the Fire came out. So this is definitely like 2006.
Yeah, dude. And I was just hearing about it, and I was like, okay. And then I remember I went to like some other friend's house one time, and they had a Merciless Death CD, dude, and it had the Realm of Terror, I think it is one where it has them on the back, and it has the fucking like the fuck yous in it and shit.
Keep talking.
And I'm just trying to remember if that was the right one, album and stuff, but. Oh, yeah, it was this one. There we go. Evil in the Night. That's what it was.
Where they had the hate list.
Well, hey, like, if you open it up.
Yeah, open it up, dude. It's it's a resealable. So
okay.
What it is it's a resealable CD case.
Alrighty. Like, I remember if you open it up. There we go. Yeah. So I remember, like, seeing these dudes, man, with the fucking high tops and the vests and shit.
The shades and all
the
that
shades
shit.
and shit. Fucking Andy, man, looking all futuristic and stuff. You got Dan Holder there, just being the beast that he is.
Caesar
his
on
awesome
drums.
brother who just tore it up, dude. And yeah, I saw this and I was just like,
what the fuck
okay,
is this?
like, okay, I thought I saw cool shit. I thought I saw what, you know, all the cool classic rock and what I thought metal is, but what are these guys doing? They look like this, and it's like, I want to do that. That just looks fucking sick. They look like cyberpunks or something. Like, it just looks, the leather jackets and shit. I was like, I want to do that. That looks like fun. And then when I just started reading all their much hate to posers, emo kids, new metal fags, thrash haters, you know, I just was like, whoa, what the fuck? Like, I've never seen anything like that either. And, you know, you put this album on, and it's just like, whoa.
I actually do like this I actually do like the record.
Yeah, I do too, man.
I just, it's fun.
Yeah, it is. And once I saw that, I was like,
it's adolescent fun, is what I call it.
I was like, holy fuck, dude. That's what I want to do now in music. Then that's when the
life
thrash shit really was just like, man.
It was so massive in California as I've obviously had so many guests on the show that were a part of it, right?
And you know,
huge, dude.
And you probably have the guests who were there, you know? But then
I was there, dude.
Yeah, you were there. You were there. And us, we were way over there, and all we could hear, all we could think about, or you know, we could just imagine. And that was it, is just imagine what was going on over there. And then, like, you know, we would see videos and stuff, or like concerts and stuff, like the Black Castle concerts and stuff, and we would just be like, whoa, like, that shit's sick. Those fucking kids in the crowd get to stage dive. Those motherfuckers get to do crazy shit, because back in Albuquerque you can't stage dive. They were really heavy about it. They just the bouncer would just come and grab you and kick you the fuck out, like, instantly. They didn't fuck around. So we were just blown away by the way the clothes, the sound, the aggression, the just everything, all the aesthetics about it. And then just seeing that the fucking crowds were absolute maniacs. And, you know,
nothing was happening like that in New Mexico.
Dude, nothing.
Okay.
There's nobody doing it like that. You know, and Fuel by Fire and all these stuff we're hearing about Fuel by Fire. And I mean, shit, dude, I don't care. Like, hearing those songs, it was just hearing thrash is back. It was asleep and now it's awake. I mean, that shit just fired us up as young kids. We needed that shit at that time, dude, because I remember, you know, like, here I am with Taylor, and he's like, we should start a thrash band, man, all this, you know, because he was showing me all this stuff. He's like, we should do this. We should start this stuff. And I was like, you know what, dude, let's do it. And I ended up telling James, like, hey, James. So I met this guy, man, and he claims to be a singer. And we're going to do this new style. We're not going to do heavy metal, because James originally was like, I'm going to be like Scott Travis from Judas Priest. He's like, I'm going to be a metal drummer, just straight heavy metal drummer. But I was like, dude, you got to hear this stuff that he's showing me. And, you know, I went over there and I was showing him stuff, and he was just like, yeah, okay. I still like Judas Priest.
Well,
But what really fucking got him and hooked him in to be like, okay, I'll try to learn this style, was I fucking played Violence, bro. Fucking Eternal Nightmare for the dude. Oh,
how great is that record?
That's a classic, baby. That's oh.
I didn't get that record at first. I going forward though into the future.
Yeah.
I love that record.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what it is. It's just personality
the
for
fucking
me.
artwork and the sound and everything on it. Like,
Just like Exodus is Bonded by Blood. Like,
Yeah.
it's just something about that energy and just
Right.
That's why those
Exactly.
records are timeless to me. It's
Exactly, dude.
just the energy, the
Yeah.
personality. So
Yeah.
Fuel by Fire kind of did that for a lot of the bands out here too. And I was talking when
Yeah.
I was talking to Rick. I'm sorry to keep making it about
No.
me, but
No worries.
but it just applies so much to the story. Is like when I was talking with Rick, they had no idea like what they were. Like they didn't.
They didn't, dude.
If you go back and listen to the episode where it was like dude, that was kind of like the anthem. And he's like, well, we didn't think of it like that. Like it was just a song to us. It was just about a show or whatever. And I was like thinking, I'm like, yeah, but that embodied so much of the scene in that one song, and that's why it kind of clicked with people outside of it too.
It did, man. I mean,
Love it or hate it, it was a song where it was like, it solidified the movement.
because like at the time out there, it was like all about like deathcore and kind of like just more of like a emo-ish sceney type music. And so when we were out there like trying to be there,
I feel like that happened everywhere.
yeah, it was everywhere. I mean, death metal, all that stuff, and it was just like we were fucking outsiders, dude. Because I mean, Taylor and I, we started busting out the vests. We started wearing the tight pants and searching for the fucking high tops and the patches and the shirts and the albums and going for all that, And people were like, "You guys look fucking stupid." People used to just fucking clown us all the time, and that was when how I actually, hanging out with Taylor, he started taking me over to Dom's house. And that's how I really got to know Dom, And that's when I was like, hey, Dom, can you put Flotsam and Jetsam on my fucking vest, dude? Because that's like, I love No Place for Disgrace at the time,
Great
dude.
record.
I was like, whoa, when I heard that album, I needed it, dude. I think that album really saved my life. It really did. I will say that album
It's a good record.
saved my fucking life, dude. Such a great album.
I kind of want to keep going into like more of like the scene aspect of New
Okay.
Mexico, and then we'll get to
Yeah.
your career if you don't mind, because
No, I
it'll
don't
all
mind.
play into part. But I don't know a lot, and I don't, our listeners and just everybody in the world, I want them to know
Yeah.
what New Mexico, like the Albuquerque scene, was, because when Madras came through there, we were like, whoa, there's something happening here. Like there's like, what's up with all like the bands? It's like 2007 all over again
Yeah.
but it's in 2012, 2013, but it's happening in Albuquerque. And I remember when you guys came on my radar, and maybe you can elaborate on this, you guys were in like a documentary or something, but Taylor was the only one talking. But I remember seeing you guys, and he was talking about seeing like Fuel by Fire spread the fire on like Best Buy or something like that. Like it was like on the shelf at like Hot Topic or Best Buy or something.
I think it was at like it was like at a Hastings or a Best Buy, like
Something
some
like
music
that.
store.
And he was all like, he's like, oh, like what the fuck is happening, kind of thing. And he checked it out, and then like that kind of is how he kind of discovered it. But I was wondering, I mean, that record probably pretty much was one of the catalysts to why New Mexico had a thrash scene or whatever at that time.
Yeah, I mean, like,
not saying that record specifically,
Mhm.
but not only that record, but a lot of them. But that was kind of like the catalyst.
To me, that was the record, man. I mean, to me, Carlos, Rick, like, dude, those guys, like, even to this day, I still look up to them.
Anthony
like,
and
they're like,
Gio and
Chris. I mean, fucking Chris, that dude's amazing. Like, I always
all
was
those guys
like
rule,
blown away
dude.
by his guitar work and his, yo, dude. Those guys are still like heroes to me, man. And and I feel like though that album definitely really like did start it off for us to be like, we want a scene like that. We want kids to circle pit. We want kids to stage dive. We want the patches and all this stuff to come back and be all about that. Like, we wanted to we saw what was going on over here, and we were just floored. I mean, we couldn't believe it, because back home, people just wanted to stand there like this. And that was that. Or if there was a pit, it was just like, just nonsense, just hitting you, just randomness, just people going in all sorts of directions and stuff. And like, I still, would jump in there. But when I saw like a circle pit and all that stuff, I was just like, holy fuck, dude. Like, I want a taste of this.
when you were when did Dread actually form?
So, you know, I told James, like, hey, there's this guy, and he can sing. We need to go with this, and we're gonna let Esteban go, and we did. So we let him go, and here it is, me, James, Taylor. We're just jamming right away, you know, and like I said, how Taylor and Jerry were friends in high school. Like Jerry ended up tagging along with Taylor one day and was like, yeah, I'll try to play bass. He wanted to play guitar, but he was like, no, Taylor's going to play guitar and sing. He was rarely in the Toxic Holocaust at the time, so he was, he was like wanting to do the Joel Grind thing.
Oh, I love Joel Grind.
Hell
That guy
yeah,
rules,
dude. That's another motherfucking OG legend, cool dude, man. And
he is cool. He's a cool guy.
yeah. And so that was how, like, the first phase of it was like me, Taylor, James, and Jerry was playing bass. And Jerry hated playing bass, I remember. He just did not want to do it. And we were hearing him whining and whining and whining about how he didn't want to do it. And it's like, bro, that's the only spot that's open. Take it or leave it. We played one show, and it went pretty all right. And that was the only show where it was, like that lineup and Taylor playing and singing, playing guitar and singing at the same time.
Oh, so Jerry actually played bass for...
Yeah, for one show only, though. One show only.
So
and we were only playing songs that Taylor wrote at the time, and they were like super Toxic Holocaust-inspired sounding stuff.
I wonder if it's on the first record. Keep going.
But yeah, so we played that first lineup, and then we're like, it's cool. Like, we like what we're doing, but something needs to change. And Taylor was like, I think we should just write new stuff. And, he was like, Antonio, start writing stuff. He liked how I was playing, so I was just writing, going for it. And we ended up letting Jerry go. We ended up letting him go. We're like, look, man, we're looking for something. We're really trying to find something that's it. And it's just like, sorry, bro. Like, no. And thank you.
Yeah, you got it.
And so we started thinking hard, because then it was like Taylor was like, I just want to sing only. I don't think I want to play guitar and sing at the same time. And I was like, all right. Well, how about we start looking for a guitar player? And we're thinking, who in this fucking town, this little city, who can do it? It was really hard to think of who's into this type of music, who would be down with this fucking crazy idea. And I thought about that kid in the fucking locker room. And I was like, I got it. There's this kid.
Did you know that he played guitar? Did he
you know what? And that was the cool thing, because MySpace was going on, and I saw he had a band going on that he was trying to get started.
Okay.
And it was like, what the fuck was the name of that shit, dude? Mutilated Genocide or something like that, I believe it was. He was trying to get some band going. And I was like, this is our guy. Call him. And so here we have this, like, 15-year-old, 16-year-old kid come into the jam space. Taylor's just going to be on the microphone, James on the drums, me on guitar. And I was like, all right, dude, we got this song. It's called, I don't know if we had the title to it, but it's Slay the Kings off that first album.
Right.
And we're like, let's play this, man. And he fucking came in there, picked it up. I mean, him and his dad came in. He came with his dad, and his dad was always supportive of his music, always supportive of him jamming and shit. And he showed up, dude, and we were like just playing Slay the Kings for the first time. And man, I mean, we were just blown away with the sound, the force, the energy. And finally, after, looking at these albums and being like, man, those guys are fucking cool. Like, I want to do that shit one day. Like, we're finally doing it. We're now doing this. And, like, now we have a chance to go and play with these guys and get the fuck out of here and see some stuff, because there's only so much you can do in Albuquerque. The place closes down early as fuck and all that. And so we were just blown away that it's like, wow, this is it. We got Mikey now. Taylor's doing his thing on the vocals, and it's sounding killer. James is tearing it up, inspired by violence.
Did you guys all have half stacks at that time too?
At the time, I did. But Mikey was still kind of like getting his gear. He actually kind of had like a Dan Holder kind of set up with the crate amps and stuff like that. And that was why Mikey was like a huge fan, bro, of Merciless Death and Dan. And dude, like he was just all about the fucking crate amps and just like that shit actually worked. It sounded good, man. It sounded fucking killer. And so that was like what we were playing through, and it was like once we played our first show, that was it, man. We knew like, oh fuck, like
It's like something's happening here.
like we gotta keep doing this, because people saw us at the first show and they were just like, I think Dom was there and Torture Victim, and people saw us and they were like, yeah, good job, guys, But then when we fucking played as that lineup,
Where did you guys play at?
I think we played the Compound or something.
Again?
I'm not too sure if we
So
went.
you played it again?
We played actually the Launchpad, the first gig with Taylor on guitar and Jerry. And so, yeah, we were playing at the Launchpad, and that show was like, we're still figuring out what we want to do. Some loose screws and stuff. But, yeah, then we play again, and we got Mikey. And, dude, like, we were like, fuck, this is it. This is where we got to, like, really get serious and buckle down now, because these are the guys that we need to keep. And we started looking for bass players, and all that stuff. And it was hard finding a bass player in the beginning. That was always, I think, Dread's problem, was we always could never find bass players that stuck around, man. And when we finally had the bass player that was on this album, he ended up having to go too. It was like we always were going to have a revolving door with bass players, so.
Now, talk to me. You get the band established. You play a couple shows. You have the lineup pretty much all established.
Yeah.
And then you go in to record what would become Brace for Destruction.
So it's like we didn't actually, dude, like we played for a long time without having anything recorded or an album. And we knew that we needed this. We need an album. We need something to make noise and get out there and be, So we started trying to record stuff, and we're like, all right, well, this is what we'll do. We'll put out this album, but it wasn't going to be, it wasn't called Brace for Destruction. It was actually going to be called Tuck You Into Death. That was supposed to be the original album title.
Okay, I did not know this.
And the artwork was supposed to be different, too. We actually got Halsey Cost, or whoever did a lot of the Toxic Holocaust stuff back in the day.
Right.
We hired her to do the artwork. And it was bitchin' ass artwork. I remember I told her, okay, this is what I want. Like, I want like a kid getting tucked into bed, and you see like her in like maybe like a weird mirror she has in her room, like a vanity set or something. And in that mirror, instead of her like father or whoever's the parental figure tucking her in that mirror, instead of seeing his reflection, you're seeing death. You're seeing like, the Grim Reaper and all that stuff. And it looked fucking cool, dude. But I don't know what the fuck happened, man, because we ended up never getting the artwork. Never ended up getting the artwork from that. And I remember we were like teenage kids who fucking sent this lady money, and we never got our artwork back.
Wow.
Never got it. We just got like a picture of it. Oh, this is what it's going to look like. And we were like, oh, that's sick. And then we just never got it. Never got it.
And were you following up with her, and then she just would not return?
We tried, and it was just like nothing, man.
That's
and
fucked
so
up.
It was fucked up, but at the same time, we were kind of like, all right, like we gotta get this out. We need to do something, and we were trying to record at the same time, and it just wasn't fucking sounding right, sounding good. We were trying to record at the time with Mikey's dad. He was, trying to set up stuff, and we actually did get like a good piece of amount of this album recorded, and it was originally going to be Tuck You Into Death, and it just fell through because the artwork didn't come in. We weren't happy with how things were getting recorded. We were having a tough time. We're still learning how to record.
Wow. Okay, so there's another fun fact I did not know about this record.
Yeah.
You got Frank Dano Duarte to do the album cover of from Ex Mortis.
Yeah. So that was like, okay. So we're like, okay, we don't have a fucking art. What are we gonna do? Well, we know Frank. He's drawing some stuff. It actually looked good. He did some stuff for Judgment Hammer. that band Judgment Hammer one time. It was
I
like
have no idea. So are they from your town? per
no,
se?
I
Like,
think
how
Judgment Hammer. I forget where they're from, man. I really do. But they had this album cover where it was like this big ass hand holding this javelin, smashing something, and we were like, that looks good.
How did you get connected with all of us California
Well,
people from?
Ex Mortis, I think, rolled through, dude. They like were coming through, and we're like, we're a thrash band. Come, we'll hook you guys up at the stage. We knew the owner of the compound, so we always were like, hey, if there's a band that hits us up on MySpace and they want to play, we got a place, and we'll pay you, and we'll feed you, and if you need a place to sleep, we got that, you know. And we were always like that with bands, so that's how we got to meet, fucking, of course, Ex Mortis. We got to meet Havoc like that. We got to meet Enforcer like that. We got to meet a lot of bands through that, just being the only guys there doing it at the time. And so that's how we, knew him, and we, like, asked him and all that stuff. But, like, I think we knew him because he was, like, going to come and play a show with us. And we did see, like, on his MySpace he does art. And so we're like, dude, we need art because we kind of we don't have it. We really want to put this stuff out. And we were actually going to a different studio at the time, too, recording with a guy named Charlie. So the guy I forget his last name, but that album that you see there is what he recorded, he produced. And then we get the artwork. We were just like, yeah, dude, just fucking have Vegas going crazy, and,
We'll put Obama.
Let's
on
have
the front of the
Obama
cover.
crying or something, and have some clowns and shit. We're just...
So there's no concept for the. I thought there was an actual concept lyrically for this specific record.
No, I mean,
like politic wise.
And if Taylor had lyrics going that route, I didn't know it was about that. Like, we weren't talking about that shit. We were just wanting to make something that looked cool. That's really what it really was just we want something cool, and we ended up changing the name to, from Tuck You to Death to Brace for Destruction.
Now, looking back on it, do you think that's a better name for an album as opposed to? Because I think people would be making fun of Tuck You to Death because saying "fuck you" or "fuck you into death" kind of thing.
Yeah. I and I didn't even think of it like that. I was just trying to be like, oh, that sounds cool, and.
Well, if you think about it, so Dreads Tuck You into Death or Dreads Brace for Destruction.
Yeah.
Pretty sure the Brace for Destruction.
And that's how
like
we
cooler
felt.
album
We were
cover,
like,
album
Brace
name.
for Destruction sounds better. We'll go with that. And so we did.
So, question for you. The record comes out. What is the reception like when it came to, I guess, because you only released this locally. It's not like it had, none of us, our albums had distribution.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like it had worldwide distribution in what, 2010?
Yeah.
So this is before all that shit.
Yeah, and like we got the CDs made, locally and all that stuff, and we're like, really, dude? Like, you couldn't even get the whole fucking artwork on the fucking damn cover? We're fucking pissed about that one.
There's more to this besides.
Oh yeah, I mean that shit was like, and we would have done it right, but we were really wanting to put on an album. We really wanted to be like, hey world, we're here.
We're the first.
And we want to play with you. Like, and it wasn't even like we wanted to be the first in Albuquerque. We weren't even thinking about that. We just like, what the fuck's Albuquerque? Like, we want to go out there and play in Cali with all those fucking dudes who are just ripping it. Like, I want to fucking see kids jumping off the stage for me and all that stuff, Like, that was just like, we wanted that. And so we were just like, we have to get this album so we can feel that,
Now let me ask you something I didn't ask Rick this, but it pertains to him, and you did mention Fuel by Fire. And I was just curious as to your take on what Thrasher de Mayo meant for you guys. Like, when you saw that, was it a big deal for you, or was it just, in my opinion, a big deal?
Bro, that shit was life-changing for me. It really fucking was. Because I remember, like, Thrash Show kind of, like, happened in a really cool way for us. So what happened was...
you guys actually played Thrash Show.
Yeah, but, like, we were there the year before prior and watching Exhumer, dude. We were there at the Knitting Factory watching Exhumer and that whole fucking madness. We watched that
was
before.
Number 3, right?
Yeah. So we were there before, but for all that to happen, this was what kind of, if I can go back to make it all lead up to Thrash Show, this is what I want to do is, so like, here we are, we got the album, and we're ready to like, okay, let's get our favorite bands here. Let's get Fuel by Fire, Merciless Death over here. Like, let's get these guys. Let's get Mantic Ritual maybe. Like, let's
They
get
were known as Meltdown.
Meltdown at the time, yes. And they had to change it. And so it's like, okay, let's get all these dudes here. Let's try to do stuff. Like, so we were like, look at this fest that's going on in California. What the fuck? It's a thrash fest? Like that's sick. We never like saw that or think anything about like you could do that. And we saw that and we're like, fuck, let's do our own thrash fest and we could have the bands we like finally come and play in our town. And we get to play with them, we get to kick it with them, party. So, we Taylor and I were like, let's put a fest together and let's call it, Thrashageddon. And that's how we fucking like just try to get as many bands as we could on it. The first Thrashageddon was like Fuel by Fire, Merciless Death. I mean, fuck, dude. I mean, I forget all the other guys that are on it, and I'm sorry about that, but it really meant a lot, dude, to finally be like, we're just looking at these guys on album covers, and now they're here, and now we get to talk to them and meet them, and then watch them play. And man, I mean, we were just like, I remember Fuel by Fire being there, and when they played Thrash's Back, dude, I remember I was like, there's only a few of us in there, and when we were circle pitting it up, we didn't care. It felt so fucking magical, and it was just like, damn, dude.
It's like we have arrived.
And it was like, oh, it's here. It's fucking here. We brought it to our city. Like, even though the fucking outside world was saying, you guys are some dumb fucking kids, like, we're like, well, we're some dumb fucking kids that can fucking throw our own fucking fest now, and we're bringing the acts that we like and the shit we want to hear. And, bro, like, that's how we ended up getting to talk to Carlos and, everybody in the band, Rick, and that, then, Anthony was there, Chris.
And this is 2000 and... Sorry, give me the year again.
Shit, dude, I would say, like, that fucking first Thrashageddon, fuck, I'm pretty bad.
2011?
I would say, no, it'd probably be then. Yeah, probably then. I would say, like, there. Because here we are, we have them in our city, and we're talking to them, and we're like, hey, man, is there any chance we could, get on Thrasho? We wanted to shoot a shot, and they're like, yeah, of course. Like, maybe not this year, but the next following one. But since you guys had us play and you guys treated us so well, like, come back or come check out, what's going on. And you guys can all get in for free. And that was during Exhumer and all that stuff. That Thrash
show.
That was
3 or 4. I'm blanking on.
Yeah, I'm blanking
it.
too, dude. And so it's like, okay, we had our fest happen in our hometown, and they invited us to come out and just check it out, dude. And so here we are. Like, I'm never fucking, I just see pictures, I just see videos of this place and hear stories of, like, how the fans are and how, like, the kids are into it. And when Carlos would talk about it and tell us, like, yo, dude, I mean, you go to certain shows and you see, like, the streets and you see the sun setting and all you see is just fucking thrashers, just, like, shadows of thrashers, just fucking overwhelming. Like, it's just, like, hearing that was just like, what the fuck, dude? Is this real? Like, it's really like that? Because it's not like that over back home, dude. It really wasn't at all. And so we go, and I'm just, like, floored at all these people who got vests. They got the fucking, I mean, they're so dedicated, and so they were in love with the music like us, and it was just so shocking to see, like, it's a huge thing out here. It's, like, a lot of people are doing it out here. A lot of people are into it out here, and that was just so shocking because we're like, what the fuck, dude? It's not like this at home. It's not like this. It was hard to believe.
Was that at the Knitting Factory?
Yeah, it was at the Knitting Factory because it had those 2 stages, dude. And you'd go in that other room to go watch some bands, and then you'd go into that main room with the balcony and all that shit.
And this was when Juan Garcia of Evil Dead played with Fuel by Fire, I believe. And then the next year was when Evil Dead headlined.
And then we played with that. We played on that.
Okay, so I
show.
saw that thrash show. I was there. I was really, that story's fucked up, dude. How that whole thing happened with us when we almost didn't get into that show.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild that you were almost about to be on it. I didn't even know.
No.
Like, just get in.
Just to get in.
Oh, just to get in.
Because let me tell you my story real quick. It doesn't pertain to anything. I just wanted to tell the story
Yeah.
because we mentioned Thrash Show with Evil Dead.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I had always heard of Thrash Show de Mayo's, right? Because I'm from Orange County. Obviously, we're in Orange County now. And everything was happening in L.A., and we were a band that, I've said many times, didn't get respected because we were from Orange County, and especially in L.A. We were not respected, obviously, because that whole, for some reason, weird gap between Orange County and L.A. metal bands. I don't get it either. So I'm like, there's nothing happening like that. I have to go up there to try and see it, right? So me and Pops go up there, and he's like, no, don't worry, it won't sell out. And I'm like, Dad, we got to get there now because guess what? It's going to sell out, right? So we get up to, it's called the Ultraviolet. I remember the place for some reason. Remember that? It was like near like a nice like industrial, what is it, apartment complex?
Yeah, it was weird out there, dude.
It was weird. I was like, where are we? Like,
Yeah.
There's all these business complexes and whatnot. I'm like, this is kind of wild. We had to park underneath that bridge right there.
Yeah.
And we walk in, and we see our friends in Warbringer.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, hey, John, what's going on? Like, he's like, oh, dude, you guys came out to the show and stuff like that. We brought him cookies, because my mom always makes cookies for the bands and stuff.
Oh, man. She's so cool.
So we get there, and we go to the door, and he goes, oh, it's sold out. And I look at my dad and said, I told you. And he goes, well, fuck. Well, what are we going to do? And I said, well, I'm like, at least what we can do is just bring Warbringer the cookies, and we'll just, at least, do that and kind of see if we can get in. Or if not, then we'll just go home.
Yeah.
So we give them the cookies, and we say, hey, man, we can't go in because it's sold out. And John Locks and John Keeble, they go, well, we got guest list spots. We'll just put you on a guest list, no problem. And I'm like, dude, this is awesome. So they walk us in, we get wristbands so we can go in and out and stuff like that. And we get on Warbringer's guest list. I was like, dude, this is awesome. Like, that's why I have so much respect for that band.
Yeah.
They're
a hardworking band.
They treat the people that treat them
cool.
well. Does that make sense? Like, they take care of the people that take care of them, and that's why I like that. I like that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all about, if you take care of me, I take care of you kind of thing.
Yes.
So we get in there, and I think Witch Haven was playing at that time. I think you guys went on before, so I saw Diamond Plate. Remember they played that show?
Hell yeah, I love them, man.
They only released that like Relativity EP. I love that EP. That EP rules, dude.
They were fucking shit.
They were
up
great.
when they'd play live too, dude.
They were a 3-piece, and they were great. They were fucking awesome. I'm sad to see like what happened with that band. Maybe I can get their story on here too.
Dude,
that would be awesome.
Get them.
Maybe I can get John or something.
Yes.
Anyway, point being, when I went into when I went in there, the whole like atmosphere of it, I was like, where am I? There's so many fucking teenage kids here, my age, that are like fucking up the whole shit, and I'm just like, this is awesome.
Right.
Like, this is really awesome.
Yeah.
I'm like, nothing like this is ever going to happen probably again, or has happened before.
Yeah.
Especially for our time.
Mm-hmm.
So they were creating a scene. They were creating something that was bigger than just Fueled by Fire.
Yeah.
They created, like, not a movement, but they kind of created the movement. Does that make sense?
I get you. And it's like...
Because it takes a whole collective bands to do that. But,
it does.
But they had the platform, the vehicle that, like, just boosted that whole underground thrashing into just the mainstream world. And it was kind of cool to see.
Yeah.
So that's all I'm saying. That's why.
No, it was cool to see. And, like, even though, like... You're at the thrash show we played. Just when I was at the first thrash show that I didn't get to play, and I was watching Exhumer and just watching all those bands and just like fucking seeing people jumping off balconies into the fucking pit. That shit even fucking blew my mind even more. Like, I was like, what the fuck? These dudes get buck out here, man. That shit's insane. I remember like I fucking like was in the pit and just like, dude, everybody was just like, if you wanted to stand still, it ain't happening. Good luck. And I was like, I wanted a stage dive, and I like asked some dude, hey, dude, just throw me up on that stage. He was like this big dude, and he was like, all right, give me your foot. And it was like, boom. And I went launching, dude.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I want to jump off the stage when fucking Feel Like Fire is playing. And so I fucking get launched, dude, and I fucking fly on the speaker. Like, I'm like, oh, fuck. I'm up here now. I better run, because here comes this dude fucking ready to throw my ass off.
Right.
And, dude, like, I fucking run and jump. And I always remember this, dude. Like, I'll just always remember just the power of these shows, dude, and how it made you feel. And I remember fucking, crowd surfing after I jumped, and then all of a sudden I was just let go. And I fucking fell into this dark abyss. Like, I was literally like this, with my feet over here, and I was like in this, it was just dark. The sound got all muffled, and the fucking heat was just insane. I felt like, what the fuck? Like, this is
I do remember
this
the
is a
heat.
fucking taste of hell right here.
I do remember
And
that
dude,
heat, so.
if it wasn't for these kids wearing vests, I wouldn't have been able to like fucking cling on and fucking pull myself up, or else I was gonna get fucking trampled or you would see
okay.
fucking dead kid at the end of the damn show on the floor, like, because I was just like, oh fuck, I'm like in some weird ass position. I just like I just fell right into the crowd, dude, and all of a sudden I'm just like this, and like there's just people just standing there watching the show. They don't even know that there's some guy like down there like who can't get up. And I was like, if without
That's
those,
how packed it was.
that's
dude.
how fucking packed it was, dude, and it was just like moving. So I was like, I better get the fuck up off this floor, dude, before I just get trampled, man. Before I just get fucked up.
The other correlation that we have together is that we both went to thrash shows and both played thrash shows. So what was the experience like of playing it as opposed to going to it for you?
I was nervous as fuck. I was nervous, dude, because I was like, you know what? I want this town to like me. We always looked at the albums, looked at everything, and we were like, you know what? I want to get in, man. And we played, and it sucked. I had like some technical difficulties with my fucking pedal board, and it was my fault. The set got cut short, and you just have all this stuff that goes wrong, and there's nothing you can do about it. So there's no point in feeling bad, but you still feel like a little bit of sadness and downness about it all. And when we played it, and people were watching, and we had people say like good job and stuff, but it wasn't like, to me it wasn't like I was seeing bands like you say Diamond Plate and the fucking place just erupting, or seeing Merciless Death go on there and the place just erupting, and just like and I was just like, we got work ahead of us. We got a lot of work ahead of us. And I think that's another thing that makes me love the, California music scene, is just like whenever you play here, you're going to get reminded and humbled. Like, dude, you better bring it, because every band out here does not fuck around at all.
That is, dude, I never thought of it that way, but that is definitely.
And when you're an
so
outsider
true.
and you're playing, your Albuquerque shows and stuff, like, it's easy to be the best or be like, a killer band out there. It's easy.
Okay, so from my experience from playing from being an outsider and playing through New Mexico and playing with bands such as we didn't play with Dread. We played with Nuclear Rain, I think once, if I'm not mistaken, right? We did play with you.
Just once.
It was at a venue, though. It was like next to the pizza place, right? Was it that one with Scoffin? Anyway,
I believe it was that show.
One of the shows, but it was kind of like nerve-wracking and coming home at the same time. We weren't from there, but we were treated, I guess, because we might have been from California, or because actually people knew the record.
Yeah.
So we actually had fans, and
and
it was like so much, I guess, support, and we had so much of that. It was like, whoa, where are we? Like, this is really cool, like, we don't get this. So that whole camaraderie that we got from being a California band playing through New Mexico was, like, very humbling, and I was like, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah. It is, man.
So you guys had, like, a weird, cool scene that, like, used to exist in California, but at that
that's
time...
the thing. It was like, we were fresh up in there, dude. And, people, of course, you're a new band, so they got to check you out, They're not going to just love you right away. And so we knew, like, you know what? Okay, we played. We're here. What can we do to make this better? Let's just fucking hand these CDs out like they're fucking cakes or something. Like, just fucking hand them out. Give them for free. We did. We just fucking... Any kid that took it, grabbed it, they got a Dread CD for free. We were just giving these things away. And we thought, like, nothing was really going to come out of doing that, but we were just like, hey, we were there and we tried. Well, you know, a few months pass, and we have a kid from Temecula who throws shows, and I forget his name, but he wanted us to come down there.
Probably Ivan or Dustin, one of the two.
We get this message, hey, you guys gave one of my friends or gave somebody a CD, and we like what we heard. Would you guys want to come play a show out here? That wasn't the show where you saw us, because we played there 2 times. That's how much of a good run we had when we would play out there in Temecula. And we go out there and play, dude. And I'll always kind of be mad, because this is what started this fucking addiction that I have. And what it is like, we went and played there, right? And we had fans. Like, there was kids that really liked us. Like, it was weird, man. I never heard kids coming up to me and be like, AD, what's up? Because people always just call me Antonio or Tony.
Or not at all. Or not even acknowledge you.
There's nothing. And, like, you know, like, it was just crazy to just be like, AD, dude, fuck yeah, you're here. We fucking love your guys' music. We can't fucking wait. You know, when I heard, like, whoa, there's people that want to hear this shit, like, something happened to me, man, where, like, this adrenaline rush of just, like, man, I want to put on the best show for these guys. I don't care if I fucking die in the making of this. I want to fucking let these kids feel like they got Dread 100%.
The best of the best.
Yeah.
150%.
And, bro, you know, we went up there, and that was the first time I ever saw kids just, like, really, I was standing up there, bro, and I was just so used to everybody just, you know, just watching us. That's it. And I'd just be lost in my hair, you know, because my hair just fucking covers my whole face. And I feel like a fucking tap on me. And it's Mikey. And he's all, look. I'm like, holy shit. All these kids are just circle pitting. All of a sudden, I just see a fucking kid fucking come darting on the stage and jumping off. And I was just like, it was madness to me, because it was like, wow. We fucking were looking at these albums, dreaming of this stuff. It's fucking finally happening. Like, it's finally here, man. And, like, it was hard not to cry on stage. Like, people probably didn't notice, but, like, I cried a little on stage because I just never had people reacting to my music like this. And it meant so much to me to just see them loving it, having real fans. Like, I never felt that anywhere else. And when I finally played Temecula, it just, man, this feeling I got, man. And then the second time I played it, you were there at that show. That was with Witch Haven, Fuel by Fire on the bill.
Wow, I didn't realize that Witch Haven even played.
Yeah, dude. And we played that again, and that was another amazing time.
Dude, I circle pitted for you guys in Fuel by Fire, like, the whole time. I was fucking wiped out. Like, literally every song I fucking circle pitted.
Yeah, I think, like, even that show, like, Mikey had to tap me and be like, look. And I was just seeing kids just fucking getting on the stage, jumping off, circle pitting. I mean, it was just like, what the fuck, dude? Like, it started this addiction to where it's like, I want to feel that again. I want to feel that adrenaline, man. And I chase it. I still chase that feeling to this day. It's like a fucking hit of whatever drug you want to make it. You know, I haven't felt that, dude, like how I felt when I played those shows. Those shows, like, I love them, but at the same time, I'm just like, fuck, dude. Like, I'm still left with this. Like, I want that feeling. I want to see people go crazy for us, you know? But I'll always be thankful to that town, Temecula. Like, thank you for just throwing it down for us, man. Like, we needed that. We needed that bad. And when we saw that, it really gave us a lot more confidence. But it also kind of made our heads a little too big. And that's probably something that it's good that, you know, that Dread didn't keep going, because we were just like, we would have been like really shitty people, I think. You know, like, we still had growing up to do. We were still young, and, you know, we were still saying stupid shit and just being kids. We still had to grow up, you know, but it did definitely make us feel like, all right, like, we're good enough, like, we can do this, like. And I've always chased for that feeling that show gave me, man.
Did you guys ever tour?
No.
No, you just did like
We
a
never
few
toured.
shows?
We would just like go out of town and play shows, you know. We would just go to Texas once in a while. And we'd come out here. But it was rare, man. We wanted to tour, but we just didn't have. I mean, I still don't really get the concept. Like, damn, you know, getting all this money together, getting this trailer set up, getting everything ready to go, getting all the tour dates,
losing your ass on the road, and
yeah, like I wish we did get to experience that, but we didn't. You know, we didn't do it. But at least we did go like to other places and play. At least we did that instead of just staying in Albuquerque the whole time.
right.
And, you know, when we would see how it was, like, in Temecula and come back home, and it was just back to just being the same old, like, stuff, you know, it was really a hit to our morale, you know. We were just like, fuck, you know. Damn.
So, I'm going to use the restroom real quick.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you this question while I'm in the restroom. How did the NYDM kind of come into play when it came to New Mexico?
Wow. Shoot. NYDM. I don't know too much about that club. I know, of course, New York, Death Militia, but the thing is they were just in our town. I knew that they had their chapter in our town. They had a good amount of people, and I know we played with bands that had, you know, members of it in there. And shoot, man, NYDM, they were definitely there, but we never joined. We just always felt like we didn't have to be a part of a club or anything to make a statement of who we were. We thought our vests were cooler anyways. We were like, yeah, we'll keep the denim because they're more, you know, leather and shit, which is cool. But NYDM, yeah, they were there, and shit. Motherfucking, that's crazy to think about those guys. And but yeah, those guys ended up, you know, sometimes we would do shows, sometimes we just didn't. I don't think we ever really got close with NYDM, you know. And when I say NYDM, I'm just, in my head, it's just Albuquerque. Like, that was the NYDM, not the whole fucking chapters that are all over, like, here in New York and all that stuff, because they're all over the place. And basically what I was saying when you're gone, I was just like, they were around, but we weren't, like, close with them, and we weren't, like, we weren't at all trying to join. We didn't want to join. We felt like, for NYDM in Albuquerque, I just thought they were just some Albuquerque thing, you know, and I was just like, I don't need to join them to fucking say anything or who I am or learn anything. I was just like, I just want to fucking, you know, just.
Well, they were very prevalent in New Mexico. That was the first time I kind of seen whatever an NYDM was.
Yeah,
and it was at that scene, and I remember rolling through there in like 2012 on the first tour we ever did with like Sacrificial Slaughter and Isolation and Infamy, and going through there, and I'm like, what is NYDM? Like,
yeah,
dude, it's a place that like it's like a not a cult, but it's like a group of
it's like
people that take care of musicians. It's like, whoa, that's a thing.
Yeah, and like I'm sure like just no disrespect to that club, because I know it's a club and I know they're all over.
I mean, they took.
But
care
I
of
had
us,
a pretty I had a pretty shitty taste in my mouth from the chapter that represented New Mexico. You know, I'll just say that. Like, I kind of was like, I don't need to fucking join that shit to fucking know what bands I'm going to listen to or be fucking cool. Like, we weren't about it. We were just like, whatever. Like, because I know, like, the president out there, his name's Jeff, and, you know, I remember one time somebody was at the bar and was like, how come you don't join? And, like, Jeff was like, well, he doesn't want it. It's all right. And I was like, yeah, I just don't want to do it. It's just, I don't need to be in this club to say I'm fucking metal, you know. And that's kind of how the attitude was in Albuquerque towards that club, and I kind of wish it wasn't like that. I wish I could experience it like how, you know, everybody else sees it in other states all over, you know. But in Albuquerque, I just didn't want to join them. I didn't like really click well with the people that were all into that over there. But yeah, it was just one of those things that I was like, I don't need that. I can do this stuff just being my own gang, you know? And that's what we kind of wanted, you know. We were into like movies like The Warriors, shit like that. We wanted to be the, you know, the underground. We wanted to be the guys who were just like rebels, I guess. You know, I don't know how to word it, but
You were the Moonrunners.
we wanted to be our own gang, kind of, in a way. You know? And at that time, it was just like, yeah, we have our own shit going on, and we don't need to join that.
I like it, dude. It's like the Moonrunners and Van Cortlandt Rangers right next to each other.
Dude, it's just like, fuck that. We want
that reference.
Like, yeah.
Anyway, but so going forward, so what happened with Dread soon after the Temecula gig that I saw you guys at?
So like I was saying, you know, it's kind of good that we didn't keep going heavier with tours and stuff, because we would have kind of been like, we've just been stupid kids doing stupid shit, you know, and drugs and alcohol and things like that, or like playing a part and stuff, and you know, like that, like just made us fight with each other, and you know, just a lot of demons were coming out. And then it's like, when I was younger, you know, it's like we all took this stuff personal, but you know, as I'm older now, I just realized, like, you know, we're just really passionate kids, and like this art, this band meant something to us, you know, and we just never wanted to lose it. We didn't think it was going to be lost or taken away, or something was going to happen where we had to think, oh, plan B. You know, we thought this was going to make it. We thought we all together were going to fucking go all the way. But, you know, just things started happening, fighting, you know, the normal shit. And that's when, you know, Dread was like, pretty much like, we played our last show, which is opening up for Fear Factory.
Give me a year.
I would say like the 2011, because we're playing our last show. It was at it was for Fear Factory. We got to open for them, and then we had one more show out in San Francisco, and we were supposed to play Slaughter by the Water. We were supposed to be on there, dude.
That's right.
And
was that the nuclear assault one?
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
And we were like, dude, we're fucking. That's gonna be dope, right? We're gonna get on it, but we're just having so much problems and things interfering in the band, and we're just like, are we gonna fucking be able to go? And you know, that's when Taylor was like, I'm fucking done. After we played the Fear Factory show, we were supposed to play one more show, and that was out in San Fran, and we were kind of hoping like maybe this will get our morale back up, maybe this will get us to be like, let's get our shit together, guys, like let's squash all this stupid shit. And let's fucking go full throttle. Like, we can do this. Let's do this. But it just ended, man. It ended at the Fear Factory show, and we ended up having to just call, you know, Nick and like Nicholas,
zombie Holocaust guys.
Yeah, all the zombie Holocaust guys, and tell them like, dude, this is what's happened. And they're kind of like, really, dude, really, because it all just fucking fell apart like that. It no fucking warnings. It just fucking happened like that, dude. And when it was over, man. It was, and we all just were like very bummed, man. I was so bummed because I felt like, fuck, dude, we were supposed to go to San Fran and play and do all this stuff. Like, I kind of felt like maybe that could have been something that helped us get out there a little better more, and you know? And then you have people telling you like, fuck, you guys were going to get signed to that. You guys were, there were scouts at that show, people back home. I had this really good friend named Joe Tapia, you know, and he's another Albuquerque music legend. That dude played in Noisier. He plays Noisier, really huge grind legend in Albuquerque. But he would always say, like, that was your show, Hito. That was your show. You guys were going to get signed to that, you know. And we're like, fuck, I know, Joe.
It's like now it's a shoulda, woulda, coulda.
It's that shoulda, woulda, coulda shit, bro. And that was like, boom. It was the end of Dread for a minute, but it was the birth of Nuclear Rain. And
that's right. So you guys went from Dread, which obviously dissolved, and it was you and James once again.
Yeah.
But you had formed a band called Nuclear Rain, which was named after, I believe, the last track
Yeah.
off of Brace for Destruction.
Yeah.
Let me know if I have this wrong.
You're right.
And you started playing some shows, and then you released one record. So this is kind of like a Dread record without Taylor.
Really. And I think people always were like, oh, this, like, I see like on the internet people who talk about the band.
Really?
And
at least people talk about it.
Like, yeah, and they were always saying like, oh, this is just like, this is still Dread, and they're just without the singer. And I never felt that way. I felt like NR was a whole new band. Like, it was a whole new thing, because it's like, I can't sing and do those highs. I can't do that shit.
Why were you the singer? Why did they make you the...
Well, this is what happened, It's like we here we are, Dread's done. We're feeling like, fuck, dude, we got to do something. We want to still keep going. James and I were like still tight. We're like, let's keep this going. So we ended up getting a singer to come in.
Uh-huh.
And he was at in Albuquerque, there's like the college UNM, University of New Mexico, and he was an actually trained classical opera singer from UNM, and he didn't smoke, he didn't drink, because he was just all about taking care of his voice. And we're like, okay, man, like, can you sing high? And he's like, oh yeah, I can sing whatever you want me to sing. I was like, okay, we'll try you out to Queen of the Reich.
What? That was your first? Wow, dude. Talk about like a fucking just like a huge 180 of like, I don't know, Maiden and Priest, and then going to Queen's, like, because vocally range speaking, I mean, god damn.
Yeah, dude.
Might as well throw in some Grim Reaper there and just
fucking... And bro, this dude's name's Steven Montoya. He actually plays in the band Savage Wisdom. Check him out. And but this dude, he did it flawlessly. I was like, damn, is Jeff Tate in the fucking room? This dude, he was the first singer I ever see show up with his own PA system. And I saw that, I mean, and the fucking PA system was towering. And he had his own mixing board and all this shit. I was like, this guy's real deal. Maybe we found our guy, because he was good. He was really good. And I wish we made music with him. But when we started hearing his like lyric content, we were just kind of like, I don't know, dude. I'm sorry. And he wasn't into thrash music. He was like, I don't want to play thrash. I don't like thrash. I just only want to play power metal. So I was like, okay, dude. Well,
So
let's try to meet in the middle here. Do you like Blind Guardian? Do you like Flotsam and Jetsam? This kind of power metal stuff. Like, I was trying to get him,
right.
But it kind of has elements of thrash thrown in there.
The first Halloween record.
Yeah, he was all about Halloween and stuff, but he was just super power metal. And
well, obviously not if he's not into thrash, because that first Halloween.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
a speed metal record.
Yeah, and he was just kind of like just all about the power metal stuff, not the cool speed metal stuff. I always kind of get mixed up there as speed power, but yeah, like he was more just the really cheesy power metal stuff, It was just like, demons and dragons, fight for you. Nah, I was just like, I ain't down for that. I'm sorry, dude. So we had to get him out. At the time, we were just like, we don't want to do that. We were trying to keep this thrash shit going.
Because it was still viable at that time, too.
Yeah.
There was still a lot of people doing it. Now, were there a lot of thrash bands in New Mexico at that time, or in Albuquerque?
Like, because like after Dread kind of stopped, that's when other bands were like starting to go for it too. We started noticing other bands are doing it too. But it was weird because it was like in Albuquerque, it's really just so small and everybody's just so competitive. Like nobody wants to kind of support anybody, even if they do kind of act like your buddies and stuff. Like they kind of didn't want to like support you or like.
So it was like a survival of the fittest, like the
it
King
was,
of the Hill
dude.
kind
It
of
was
thing?
like every band was just trying to get that little morsel of meat, dude. That was just thrown in there, eat up, and
so
whoever got it, got it.
You didn't actually have like a community to where you all worked in the same realm for the bigger picture. It was kind of like this band versus this band versus this band.
Yeah, it didn't feel like a community to me because like we had to do everything on our own. Like if we wanted to throw a thrash fest, like. No one wants to work with us to do that. We have to fucking come up with the funds to do that. We have to figure it all out and plan this all. It was just Dread. We didn't have any club or members or anybody helping us. Like, we really felt on our own out there, and so it was just like, It's just us, fighting for what we believe in. And we wanted to fight to get out of there, but people saw what we're doing, and people, I think, I feel like, to me, like, yeah, there was Torture Victim, and there was bands like Suspended and stuff, but they were all doing, like, at the time before Dread showed up, it was like more like death metalish sounding stuff, and like punkish stuff, It wasn't this fucking thrash
Right.
beats and stuff. It wasn't it wasn't that yet until I feel like when Dread fucking really started playing that style and stuff there, that's when the other bands were like, that sounds kind of good. Let's throw it in our music too. So then it started kind of like happening more. And when
Right.
Dread was over with, a lot of bands were like all of a sudden like,
Yeah, The Conjuring. And,
and they weren't even out yet once like Dread ended, and it was like Nuclear Rain was just like starting, and like those guys were coming out then. But like, yeah, like all these people got kind of like, I feel like they saw what we were doing, and they're like, yeah, we can do that too. And
trying to capitalize on
yeah,
it.
and then some of these people were like not in our bands, or they did play in our band at a moment. I'm sure maybe there's some like vengeance they wanted too, and be like, well, I'm gonna do my own shit and stuff. I know we, pissed some people off, trying to join, but that happens, and so we always just kind of felt like it was always us against the city, and you can kind of even hear that in my lyrics and stuff when you listen in like Nuclear Rain lyrics and, Escape the City and all that stuff. Like, all that stuff was like, just how I felt about living in Albuquerque, man. Like, I wanted to leave. I wanted to escape, man. And, so I guess, going back to just Dread ending, James and I were like, okay, what do we want to do? Do we want to keep this going? We had a guy come in. He can do it, but we don't like what he's singing about, and he's very stubborn on trying to play ball with what we want to do. So what are we going to do, James? He was like, well, I don't know, man. Do you think you can sing? Do you think you can do it? And I was like, dude, I'm not a singer. I can't fucking do that shit. But he was just like, let's just try it. And we did. So here is just James and I got a microphone in my face, and I'm trying to sing. And the first song that we were working on was Red Dice. And that was what we were working on. And I was just trying, every day almost, we're at the practice space just trying to get me to play and sing.
Now,
trying.
Let me go back real quick to practice space. So did you guys actually have your own space per se, or was it like a kind of like almost like a separate building where tons of bands would, like a lockout kind of center thing?
Yeah, so we used to always practice over at James's house. His parents, since his dad was a musician, was cool with us being there jamming in the garage. So we'd rip it up in there, and then after that, after kind of like Dread was like doing Temecula shows and getting the stuff moving, we ended up getting a practice space down in Albuquerque downtown.
And it was just you and James at this point?
It was me, James, Mikey, and Dom. Dom even played in Dread at a point. We had him coming in playing as a bass player because we just had so many bass players revolving through the doors of Dread. He didn't record with us, but he came in and he helped out with Dread. And so we were like, okay, you know what? Dread ended. Me and James, we want to keep going. Mikey wants to keep going. We're like, let's fucking keep it going. So we called up Dom and we're like, hey Dom, do you want to play bass for us, dude? We're gonna try to keep going, but it's gonna be something different, and it's gonna be me on vocals, and we're not gonna call it Dread. Let's call it something else completely. And so he was down, man. And so I was like, all right, cool. So I ended up telling that singer that we tried out, like, sorry, man, this isn't gonna work out. It's just gonna be me doing it and all that stuff. And then also, like, that singer wanted to bring in a bass player that at the time, we didn't like the way he was looking. I hate to fucking sound like that guy, but we were wanting a look. And it was like, sorry, dude, he just didn't have the look that we wanted. And, that's why it was just like, and he was like, well, if he doesn't play bass in our band, then I'm out too. And I was like, well, we're feeling this way about your lyrics, and we want to do something. So, yeah. And boom, here we go. We're trying to start this fucking new band, and I'm on vocals. But it was like totally like not at all we wanted to do. Like, this is still Dread. Like, I always kind of got irked when people were like, oh, this is Dread 2.0 or Life After Dread, and it's like, this is a new thing. Like, I'm doing something that, that I can do. Like, I can't sing those highs, so I have to do something else. So this is something totally new.
And you guys weren't playing Dread songs during that time, right?
Well,
that's probably why people thought it was Dread 2.0.
They thought it was Dread 2.0 because, we were, like, bringing some of these songs, and we kind of felt like, well, we wrote the riffs to these songs, and we love these songs. We don't want to stop playing these songs. They're good songs. Why should we stop playing them? So we kind of, like, brought them with us. And I had to, like, change lyrics for certain songs, like Excommunicate, like, whenever NR fucking played those songs, like, played Dread songs, like, I had to change the lyrics to Excommunicate. We still would open up with Dawn of the Dread, but it's just because, like, I feel like I wrote that stuff. Mikey wrote some of that stuff. We should still be able to play what we wrote and not let it be forgotten.
Play Killer Moose, dude.
I know, and see, Killer Moose. I love that you like that song because that song was always like...
I love that song. That song rules, dude.
Yeah,
It's the Killer Moose.
It is, dude. It is, and it's like as I got older, I always realized, like, man,
it's fun.
Mikey had a lot of great ideas. He wrote that song. That was a Mikey song. It's a thrashing Mikey song.
It's a fun song. I like it.
Yeah, it is. It is, man. Like, people were having fun to that shit. And I guess maybe we're just taking it a little too serious after a point, and we're like, not that song anymore.
Where did you record the Nuclear Rain record as opposed to... Did you record it at the same spot with the first Dread record?
We didn't. We actually... So we were like, okay, where do we want to go record? Like, we were like trying to think of how we want to do this, because we actually were like thinking about this one guy named John Wall, and we were going to go to him because Dread was supposed to put out another album after this album. We had tracks recorded for another album. If this producer still has these tracks, that's like literally the second Dread album. Like, there is like another.
Well, it'd be a third one.
Yeah, it'd be third. Sorry, because it'd be like it was before
we'll get
all
to
this
that.
was gonna happen. But yeah, so there was gonna be the third, but it was gonna be second at the time. But just things happened where it was just like fucking really hard to get that album out. I mean, we got the music out, but just the money and all that stuff, it was like it was a lot to be in that studio. And then just at the time, I just remember Taylor, he just was like stressing to get the vocals done, and it just ended up not happening. And then that's when all that other mess stuff happened, and ending and the last show and all that stuff. It just, so much stuff fell apart. So we were like, maybe we'll go back to that guy that was doing the Dread album that was supposed to come out. But then we're like, well, we have these buddies, was an Impelled Offering. They're like, hey, we just went and recorded an album with this guy named Dennis Minaz. And, you guys should check him out. You guys should go over there and record him. He's up in Texas, San Antonio. And I was like...
That's what, a 6-hour drive?
From New Mexico? Like, yeah, I'd say like a 7, 8 maybe.
Okay.
And, there's this guy named Dennis, and we're just like, okay. We started looking at his background, man, and that dude plays in some bands. And then he even worked at, Morris Sound.
Oh, right on, okay.
In Florida, dude. Like, he worked there. So, like, he fucking, like, when... Morbid Angel and Death, and he was like Creator and Sepultura, like all the bands, Cannibal Corpse, all those bands that rolled through there. Like, he was one of the sound engineers in there. So we're just like, God damn, that's kind of cool. We're like, let's
make it happen.
Let's make it happen. So we went over there, and dude, like, we recorded with him, and it was like we show up to this guy's house, and he has this 2-story house, beautiful home, and we're like, okay, cool. Maybe he has a studio in the back or something. We go inside, and he's like, you see all these snake cables just running down the stair set all the way into the living room. And here he's, and he's like, yeah, this is where I'm going to mic the drums, and my recording booth's upstairs. We just recorded the drums in the living room, and we did all the guitar tracking, upstairs in his little studio. Did it all there. But, yeah, dude, we drove our asses down there in this fucking trailer, you know what I mean? I remember the fucking tire blew out on the way there. I mean, it was like, we kind of got a little taste of what it was like to just going far, going places, and trying to just make our dreams happen, like Dread ended, but we ain't gonna stop. We ain't gonna stop. We're gonna keep going. I can't let it end here.
And when the record was finished, the layout, because the layout kind of looks a little bit similar to Torture Victims, but I don't know if it's the same guy that did both.
It is. So Ken Padilla. Yeah,
he's a good guy too.
Yeah, so he did all the, he actually frickin' did the artwork for this, man. Like I remember he like airbrushed the sky, and then he like hand painted the little dude and all the little plants and stuff. Like he created the art. And then he did all like the layout of like how you kind of see like it's the same, or like if you even notice on the back here of it, it says Rain Records, or a little made up.
Right.
It says that too on that Torture Victim album. It's just like in a different color. But yeah, it was just kind of like the same fonts and stuff. But it was just because we're all homies. We're like so tight and cool then. Like those were like the good times when everybody was just friends back then, and we all kind of were just like, hey, dude, Torture Victim wants to put out a fucking banger, and we're about to put one out.
Dude.
But this actually was recorded before, I believe, like Torture Victim did theirs. But Dom, like, has been, like I said, he's been in the game for so long. I mean, he had a lot of those songs that I think you hear on the album. Like, he's had them for years. He just didn't record them until then.
So what's up with the album title? Is it like a precursor to knowing that you guys wouldn't survive?
Yo, and like that's another thing. It was like
that's always been my joke.
I think like, dude, I think I was just so into Corner at the time, the band Corner.
Okay.
And I just liked the lyrics and just, I just fucking, I don't know. At the time, the name sounded cool, but yet it was kind of the fate for the band, because it was just like one fucking album, and it was like, yeah, we ain't surviving.
That was always my joke, and I didn't mean it to.
No, and then another thing I just never thought about was like, dude, people are probably thinking like we're like totally kind of ripping off Nuclear Assault. Like I always felt like, because they have the album Survive, and here we are with Won't Survive, and then
I didn't even
Nuclear Rain and all that, and I was just like, fuck, we're gonna look silly kind of with that one, But I still listen to the music on it, and there's times, bro, where I just go long time not listening to what's on there. And when I hear what's on there, I'm always just like blown away at just like, wow, man, we were doing that at that age. We're making this sound. We're doing this. Like, wow, we were talented. We had a lot of fucking cool stuff going on then.
This was like, 2013?
Yeah. And like this was like 2012, I believe.
When it was being recorded, but it was released a year later.
Yeah, and like, yeah.
And it's hard to get these records, man. I remember having to. It
was all us.
I think I bought this either from you guys or I bought it online. So it was either in person or because you never came through here. So I think when we played with you guys there, I think that's when I got it. Makes a lot of sense that way.
And it's like, yeah, it's hard to fucking get, bro, because we didn't have any labels interested in us. And, I understand why. We weren't working as hard as the other guys. We should have been out there touring. We should have been just grinding a little more, but we're it's kind of hard in a city like Albuquerque.
I don't know how you get out of that place.
It was a little tough, man. I mean, they call it the land of entrapment, instead of what they originally called the land of what is it, enchantment. Yeah, that's what they call it, but we always be like the land of entrapment, And I always kind of felt like Albuquerque, it's a cool place, but it's a cool place if you kind of want to like just stay there and work on your craft and practice to be good. And then, kind of like, I don't know if you're big into Dragon Ball Z, but how like they would go in those or those weird capsules and train, It's like I always felt like it's a good place to train yourself and then go out there into the world. But
but it's not a good place to.
But it's not a good place to just stay at. Like, because if you just stay there, it's easy to be the kings of that town. It's easy to be like, yeah, we're the band of this town. It's easy to be that in that town. To me, I felt like. But then when you went into other towns where they're like, oh, no, there's a bunch of other motherfuckers who are like, they're going hard for it, and they want it too.
As far as like the thrash thing and what it was happening at the time, I still say Dread was the kings. Because you guys went outside of the realm, like you went to California, and so I think that's what it takes. Yeah, to just go out, just venture out of your comfort zone and just do it. And
and it's like, what you know, who, like, let's say for a boxer, for example, like,
Okay.
a boxer doesn't go into the fucking ring being like, yeah, I'll just go in there and try to be all right. No, that boxer goes into that ring saying, I'm going to fucking win. I'm going to kick this
I'm gonna
dude's ass.
fuck you up.
I'm going to fucking, like, yeah, we'll be friends outside, but when it's in here, dude, it's fucking war. There's a fucking, if you want to be the best, there's a fucking wall, and that wall's dread, baby. Like, you know, that's how we felt.
Was there always a competition in that regard within these shows at say like places like the Armory or places like that where it was like kind of a makeshift stage? Because you guys definitely, I don't want to get to this right now, where you guys had a lot of like makeshift venues,
and that was
wasn't like
yeah, it was weird because that was like the NR days, and that was towards like the end where I was like, when I saw these venues showing up, I was like, this is not what I want to do. I was like, I just came from all these places that kind of saw, like, you know, how they're doing it and what it can be like in other countries and stuff. And I was like, I want that to happen here. But it was like the trickling effect, kind of like how you said, you were there and it's like, what the fuck? It's like 2007 again, 2000, you know.
I loved it.
It was cool, but it was just like, dude, it took that long for everything to catch up. And that's kind of how it is. Like, you know, all the fads and the cool shit to do here, like, it takes a little while to get down over there. And yeah, dude. So it's like
well, would these places get shut down just
yeah,
automatically?
they would get shut down too because they weren't meeting fire codes and all that stuff. The fire marshal would come in and just be like, "Yo, like, this is not fucking safe for fucking you to be throwing event with this many heads in here."
Right.
And they should get shut the fuck down.
And then you'd have to start a new venue.
And then it was like, okay, well, back to just there's Launchpad. That's always, you know, a good venue to play.
But did you guys have pay to play out there? I feel like you did. I feel like there
kind of. It was like more like you better sell tickets, and as many tickets and the amount of tickets you sold, like, kind of determined where you were gonna be.
Okay.
You know, but it kind of felt weird, bro. Like, it was very political. It felt like in Albuquerque, like, it only felt like so many, like, certain bands were always gonna get on and put on the bill. You know, it was either gonna be suspended or torture victim all the time. That's how a lot of bands out there felt at the time. It was like, it's either these two bands that are gonna fucking, like, you know,
now,
that were going to be on.
Why
there.
do you think that was? Just because the people they knew?
It was like, look, you know, like, torture victim brought heads, and then Suspended brought heads too. I don't know if you ever heard of the band Suspended, all female band,
all female, death metal band.
And dude, you know, they got fans, and you know hey man, it's business, so they want to get as many people in there. They want to get as many people drinking and all that shit, and you know, these bands, they were able to do that for these venues, you know, and so yeah, they were always getting some shows, but. You know, since I felt like Dom was also in our band too, you know, it helped out with us getting out there too with, you know, on other shit and getting in there.
Let me ask you real quick too. Why do you think it took Dom and the boys, and obviously he's not here to answer us, but in your perspective, you said that they were playing since like 2004, but it took them a long time to release a record. Now, why do you think that was?
I don't even know what years Dom started, so I can't say when he did and when he had all the stuff ready. But I think the reason why it was just hard for anybody to record out there is just because there's just not that many studios that were like wanting to do that. And then especially when you're saying you're doing thrash and all this stuff, or like they were just like, what? Like, I don't know. There just wasn't too many producers at all. There's not even producers. There's just guys with recording equipment, you know. And then there was studios, but they were just charging a fuck ton of money that we didn't have. And you know, it was real tough out in Albuquerque to get heard. And I think that's why it maybe took a while for the guy, you know.
Are you familiar with where it's at now? Obviously, you haven't been there in a few years.
I mean,
you stay in touch with people.
I'm like a ghost in that city, you know. Like, I show up, I'm there sometimes because I go and see, you know, family. And when I am there, you know, I never go to the venues, or I never like show up. But
are there still shows out there?
There's still shows, and there's still bands, dude. And there's bands that kept going and continuing and going for it. But you know, I ended up kind of being more of a ghost in that city, you know, and like I am there, but I'm not at the same time, you know. And
well, so after this, what made, because Taylor was doing more rap oriented stuff. Mm-hmm. Now, what made him come back into the fold and say, hey, come back to you, because you're the only one that actually returned to the fold from this specific lineup? What was the catalyst for him coming back?
it's just like I said, at the end there, we were having a lot of fucking problems, a lot of fighting and all that stuff. But once kind of like, it's cheesy, that stupid saying. It's like, you don't know what you got until it's gone. But it's kind of true, And I think that kind of happened with us when it's like, the band was there and now it's not. You kind of got time to think about what it was and how great it was and what we could have done. And I remember him and I just seeing each other at a show again. And at the time I was like, are we going to talk? Like, I don't know. Like, I just don't know if we're in a good place. But we ended up talking. And all we could talk about was Dread and how we, like, need to do that again. And we need to, like, play. And I was just like, I agree with you, man. I agree with you. But the other guys in the band were just kind of like, no, we don't want it. Like, we like what you're doing. We like you singing. And we want to just keep it like that. I was like, all right. And, we almost got Taylor to come back. But it just, like, Taylor caught wind of them being
too much animosity.
He knew that there was the animosity. He knew that it's like, he just knew. So it just ended up being Taylor and I just stayed friends. I'd go kick it with him, hang out with him. But then, I just kept doing NR. And, it was like we would always meet up and we would always talk and just be like, yeah, man.
Like old times, right?
Let's
like
maybe do another album in time. We it's not now, but we'll do something again. Maybe we'll fire up Dread back up again. But and when we were talking and stuff, those were the times where NR, we recorded this album. It looks beautiful, looked awesome, except for there's one little fucking weird mistake with it.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you've ever noticed.
No. Tell me.
Okay, so open it up. And I want to see what version you got, because you might get the version that we crossed this shit out. Yeah, you got the version that we crossed out. Do you notice there's something going
I
on
always noticed
there?
that, but it just says drums with a big Sharpie mark.
Yeah.
So what's underneath it?
I wonder if we could remove it.
There's no way. What does it say, though?
So in this time and day and age, people hate it when you be saying this word, but it says fag. Yeah, it says James Gonzalez, drummer / fag.
Wow.
And that shit happened because at the time, like I said, like, how you're like, oh, the Torture Victim album and your album's like the same. It's because, Ken was doing all the media editing and all that. And we were just up late, dude. And he was just like, I'm going to just put this in here. He thought, we'll erase it later. And we were just laughing. We clowned on each other like that. We just called each other names and shit. That's how it was back then.
Right.
And I was like, Ken, fucking take that shit off, because I know us. We're going to forget. And then that shit's going to be in the fucking printing, and we already fucking approved it, and then you start printing it. And what the fuck happened? It happened. It happened, bro. And, bro.
Why did you cross it out?
Yeah, and
that was that mistake on it. Now I'm going to always realize, like, every time I open this up, it's like James Gonzalez, drums.
Yeah.
The word fag right next to it. I mean, obviously, you would never be able to do that.
So this is what kind of makes this album a little more cooler, I would say, is because I think we had like 1,000 pressed, right?
Right.
Half of them, 500 of them, got the marking because James was pissed. He was like, no, like, this album looks this fucking good, and this is what's next to my name. Like, he was a little upset.
Right. I would be too.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, fuck. Like, this album looks nice, and this right here is kind of like fucking with it.
Right.
But it was too late. I even, like, called the pressing plant, and they were pissed. They're like, dude, you fucking approved. No going back unless you want to just pay the money to get them reprinted, but there's no fixing this.
Right.
Because they come wrapped and everything. So I was like, all right. So I told James, like, dude, it's there. I don't know what else to tell you or what we're gonna do. And so he was just like, well, I don't like it and I don't want it. So we're like, all right, then this is what we could do then. We will cross it out and we will all hand autograph these. But for some reason, yours is not autographed in the inside. It's supposed to be autographed with it crossed out. Like, all the members should have autographed it, but we didn't. Because we literally opened them all, opened up 500 of them and all autographed together. After band practices, we would go to Dom's house.
That's okay. At least I know it's actually autographed from
Yeah.
you. So I saw you do it in front of me, so I don't give a shit.
And the cool thing is like, bro,
Now this
I
is
just
momentum.
I just came across a shit ton of fucking Nuclear Rain albums. And they
Dude,
don't, and they're all wrapped, and they don't have anything crossed out.
Dude, send me one.
I will, and I feel like, that just makes it even more
It's
cool,
just cool,
of a
like,
story
now
and rare. Like,
it's
there's
cool,
different
dude.
versions you can get, and if you have the ones where it's crossed out but autographed, that's a version. If you just have the one where it's just crossed out, that's the version, and then there's one where it's still wrapped, baby, nothing's touched.
Dude, if you'll part with one, I'll definitely take one.
I have fucking too many. I always do that.
That's fun.
I always leave a stash of shit, and I like forget about it. It's like a time capsule to me, you know. And
You kind of have to,
reopen it.
because especially if you're only doing one pressing and you know that like these might not sell, but I want to at least have like a bunch for like either my kids, grandkids, if I ever had them, or like just nieces and nephews, like something like something to just pass on down the line kind of thing.
Yeah,
they might enjoy it.
I mean,
pick it up.
Like I said, we were both talking about it. Like, there's no better way to immortalize yourself through art. And if you can do it through music, you can do it through a movie or even a video game. If you can put yourself in a video game.
How cool would that be?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of my dreams,
I want to be on Tony Hawk. Well, Tony Hawk.
Be an unlockable character and shit. Damn, that'd be insane.
That'd be awesome.
Fuck, dude.
Hey, I can make it work.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Dude, so we just announced, speaking of like having your art immortalized, we just got confirmation, and I'll plug it on the show just so because I'm a big fan of Bob Nobandian. He's one of my favorite like journalists.
Okay.
I have favorite journalists because that's
cool.
what I do. Is I'm technically a journalist.
Yeah.
Technically, that's what I'm part of. But he's one of my favorites, and so when I got to interview him, the way I rolled, like I was like, before the interview, I'm like, hey Bob, like I'm a really big fan. I love your documentaries. I had him sign one of the documentaries I bought in the physical form. Happy to do it. But he was like the nicest guy, and I'm like, dude, this is awesome for me. Like, cause I'm kind of freaking out, cause it's kind of like one of those guys where it's like,
oh yeah.
And we all have these, but Bob is just one of those guys for me.
Dude.
He's that dude where it's like I'm like, dude, like he's doing like kind of like what I want to accomplish too.
Yeah.
And so we just hit it off. Like I guess I'm a good interviewer for him. So he was like, you and Andy Ford nailed it. It was awesome. Like, great interview. Great meeting you. Thanks for the CD, because I gave him a CD just to listen to. Didn't think anything of it. I'm like, hey, I really want some feedback.
Yeah.
And I gave him The Essence of Time, and he loved it. He was like, this is awesome. Obviously we talked about his upcoming documentary, and he goes, I want to put one of your songs in the documentary because I think it would fit, and I'm looking for bands whose music I think would fit. Would you be interested? And I was like, well, fuck yeah. And he's like, there's not going to be any money involved. It's purely for exposure. And I'm like, well, that's the type of exposure we need.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, when people say, like, it's only for exposure, usually for shows, it doesn't mean shit because it's a show. But this is like a documentary. It's like, somebody in another state could watch it and then, like, who's that?
Yeah.
This happened to me all the time where I watch a documentary, I'm like, that song rules. Like, what is that?
Right.
So it's just really funny how it's come full circle where not only a band like us is playing, like, on a record, like all of us bands want to do this, but now our music is even more immortalized because it's now in a documentary.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
And some kid from some
just like
city, some country you weren't even thinking of.
Yeah,
like,
just like discovers
is gonna hear it and be like, "Who's that?"
Right.
And look it up and see you in the song credits. You know?
Yeah,
Congrats
exactly.
on that.
Thank
too,
you.
Man.
I appreciate
I read
that.
that
Thank
and
you
I
very
was
much.
pumped for you. I was
Thank you. And going back to you, and the point in all this is like, your art is immortalized.
Yes.
Not just by the music, dude. It can lead to something else, like you would never thought of.
Yeah.
Like I never thought.
Yeah.
Our
like
music's gonna be in a documentary. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
If you told me that 10 years ago, like, yeah, you're gonna be like, you're gonna make your own vinyl and you're gonna be like in documentaries and this and this. I'm like, no, we're not. We're just. Do you know what I mean? We just want to make a record.
Yeah, dude.
That was all my ultimate goal, is just to make a record.
Yeah.
So what you're getting at is like, it's so true. It's so true, dude. How many video games have you played where it's like that song's bitchin'? What band is that?
Bro, and like
I discovered the Dead
and you
Kennedys
said it,
because
Tony
of
Hawk, bro. Tony Hawk
Dude.
Pro Skater, like that shit was like,
the shit, dude.
yo, that got everybody started. I
What
think.
bands did we discover? Rage Against the Machine. At least I did. Powerman 5000, right?
Yep.
Dead Kennedys.
Mm-hmm.
That was a big one. Iron Maiden I discovered too, because was it Tony Hawk 4? You had the unlockable Eddie character on the skateboard, and that's when I kind of first heard Iron Maiden. Number the Beast, right?
I didn't even get to unlock it.
GTA
Damn.
Vice City. I heard
Yes.
2 Minutes to Midnight. I heard Peace Cells. I heard Twisted Sisters. I Want to Rock. I'm like, what is this?
That was
This is
another.
awesome, dude.
That was another fucking soundtrack. Vice City.
Oh, it's so good, dude.
Oh man.
So I'm saying, there are other mediums that have to use music and art, and
Yes.
it makes us immortalize even further, dude.
Sure does. It sure does. I mean,
How cool is that?
right? I mean, I'm sure George Lynch wouldn't ever fucking think like, oh, people are listening to my song while you're running over hookers.
Yeah.
And all this crazy
Yeah,
shit.
because there was a Dawkins song in what was it, Vice City Stories, Breaking the Chains?
Yeah, breaking
Yeah,
the chains,
yeah.
dude. Yeah. Oh, dude. And you're right. It's just.
I'm just going back to your point.
It's-
and just kind
yeah.
of pulling it full
Yeah,
circle.
dude. It's just wild how like
That's
these
so
things can definitely
crazy.
do that for you, and then just make another.
So shout out to Bob
Generation.
Nalbandian. Make sure to go see the Bay Area Godfathers documentary from
Go
Inside
see it.
Metal. So that's all.
Yeah.
It's a nice. Thanks for setting up that plug for me. But
hell.
it will also pertain to your point.
Yeah.
To where
No, I hear you, man.
Because that's art
You're
too.
immortalized, dude. It's like, damn.
Documentaries and movies and video
Mhm.
games, and
And you're gonna have people grow up talking about it,
it's cool.
and it'll
dude.
always be that memory, those good times, man.
like the Fuel by Fire stories, where it's like, yeah, I
it's
remember.
just like, yo,
I
it's
remember
just
too.
the good times, man.
How cool is
The
that?
good
though?
times. It is, man.
And we're from different states too. Like, it's not like I think we first knew each other from, what was it? Maybe that 2012 tour.
So
we
it's
did?
like, yeah, it was the end when
I don't know if it was when we came through and played the gas lamp. I
Mhm.
don't know if you were there or not, but I think it was the time after, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think it was the after, cause. So yeah, you played a show with
My
Nuclear
memory's
Rain.
fucked right now,
And
dude.
so is mine. And when we played that show with you, like I just remember like that was kind of towards the end of it for me with NR. Like I was very like just my drive, my morale, just the energy to do it all just came
to a crash.
to a crash, and I was just kind of like, I'm 22, I'm 21 at the time. I'm just thinking like, I dropped out of high school for this. I dropped out to just pursue music, and it's not looking too good right now. I just was like, I need more. Like I just see all these other bands who are just, they're touring, they're doing the right things. Like I don't know what's going on, why we're not doing it, but it's just not happening. And I just started realizing, like time is fucking flying. And if I want to be able to buy guitar strings, if I want to be able to stay making this music, like I need to think about how am I going to support myself and be an adult and not be a fucking kid and rely off, other people. So it's like, well, I think I'm going to go get my fucking GED. And, I grew up as one of those kids in school being told you're dumb all the time, and so I was just like, I was in special ed, in school my whole life, and I just always was like thinking, well, if I'm gonna accomplish and just get my GED out of the way, I need to fucking like just be full force on focusing on that.
When did you actually start going to school for your GED?
So like I basically just told, like, it was probably like 2000 and because this came out in 2012, I believe.
This came out
2013.
13,
Sorry,
yeah.
2013. And so I think I was like, that's like when that year ended. Like towards the ending of all that, like was when I like was like, I'm done, guys. I want to focus on getting my GED. Like I just need to take a break from all this.
Right.
And I left and went and did that. So it was like 2013, and I just remember like, all right, studied my ass off for that GED. I passed.
Congratulations,
Hey,
by the way.
thank you, man. Thank you. And
It's a big deal, dude.
hey, dude, if it was for me, at least, And so I get it. And there I am again, kind of just feeling like I want to play music. I want to jam, And
Because you had gotten tired probably of just studying all the time.
yeah,
You
just
felt like an
studying
outlet.
and just focusing for that. And I always felt bad that I like left NR. Like I always felt like, you know, the day that I told them, I circled them all together and I was like, look guys, I'm fucking done.
Right.
I can't. I just don't I don't want to do this anymore and I can't. And my mind is somewhere else right now and I kind of want to focus on a lot of other stuff. And they were crushed, and I understand why they were crushed. You know, I crushed them, man, because it was like, that was a fucking good band. And the magic we had on that stage, like, yeah, Dread was a great band, but I never had people coming up to me saying, run out of here, red dice, possess me. You know, I mean, these people really like these fucking songs, dude. When I fucking was like, and then even like years after when NR was done, I'd still have people talking about these songs, you know, and I was just like,
Oh, that's
shit.
funny, dude. I'm just noticing this too. And I'll ask you about this now since I got you here.
Yeah.
The Nuclear Rain is either recorded twice or it's two different songs
So,
with two different spellings.
so this
I'm
is
going to
the
have to go
deal.
back and listen to that.
That was
determine
that was a song we wrote, and I think it was like I wrote a lot of the riffs, so I was like, hey man, that's a cool song. And like Dom one day we were trying to figure out a fucking name for the band. We were like, what do we want to call it? And he was like, how about Nuclear Rain? And we're just like, I don't know. Should we? It kind of sounds cool. All right, let's do it. And then since we started calling the band that, we're like, well, we're gonna have to play the song. And you know, I had to change the lyrics, but in my opinion, man, I liked the NR version of that song the more. And I felt like, you know, it was our theme song. I remember before I'd play it live, I would be like, every band got their theme song and this is ours, and you know, we'd play it. You know, and that's kind of how that happened all there.
So it is the same song with different lyrics. That's cool.
Yeah,
I
went and changed. I mean, if there's a Dread song on there and it had lyrics, I had to go and basically rechange it. I think the only song that Taylor was like, hey, I do still have lyrics for, and I'll give them to you, was Pharaoh's Ceremony, when we would play that. You know, but
other than that, it was.
But we didn't record it. You know, we just would play it live because people like wanted to hear that stuff.
Now, why did Nuclear Rain dissolve?
So like I said, you know, I was just wanting to. I was worried about the future, dude. I was like, fuck, you know, like it's hard to make it out here. Like the real world, it's not fucking easy, and everyone knows that. And I was like, well, I need to just make it a little bit better and safer for myself if I want to stay being a musician and be able to fund my craft. So, you know, got my GED, and then after I had it, I was like, I got on a jam again, man. And, you know, I ended up calling the guys, but it just seemed like a lot of people were a little pissed at me because I was like, you left, dude. You had it, but you left. And it's like everybody else was already kind of jumping on a new train. James ended up going, and, you know, he was playing for Torture Victim when NR was going on, but he, like, you know, of course, just since NR ended, he's going to do that full time, and that's became the main band for him for a minute.
But they still only released one record, right?
Yeah, they only still released one record.
Actually,
you know what? I think they released another one after that. They did. They released another one after that. But
so I don't know my shit right now. I got to learn.
Yeah,
okay.
well, I mean, it's just hard for you to know because it's like,
there's no publicity
who the fuck's
for
reporting
it,
what's going on out there, you know? And Albuquerque, you know? So nobody's reporting it.
Right,
Nobody's talking
no
about
publicity,
it. No publicity, exactly. And so, you know, it's just, I wanted to fucking play with these guys again, but everybody was like, sorry, dude, the train's gone and we're doing our own shit. And I felt like, you know, hell, man, like, James and I were best friends. We're together through everything. We always would say, like, if this doesn't work out, we're going to keep going, we're going to keep going, we're going to keep going. And, you know, and then it was like, boom, you know, my best friend, he's gone now. That's not there anymore. It's done.
That's sad.
I hope
it comes full circle for you on that aspect.
You know, it's like, thank you. And I ended up, you know, one day just like saying, you know what, like, my time's up in this city. I gotta go. It's just, that's what it was. So, you know, I just ended up, you know, my girlfriend at the time, she's still my girlfriend, I mean, and we just were like, well, let's go together, and we moved to Denver. And when we moved, and just I had to still get my amp and everything, and I remember going over to James's house and just being like, calling him, like, this dude's not answering. Like, this dude's like, I mean, this is what it came to. Like, these dudes didn't want to even talk to me for a minute. And so I was like, I just need to get my fucking amp. And I was working at this restaurant at the time, and his dad came in to eat lunch. I was like, hey, Paul, dude, I need to get my amp, and it's at your house, man. Is it cool if I come by on this day? And he was like, yeah, that's okay. Super cool, dude. So I come by, and who's there in the house? James.
Right.
And we kind of talk, and we sit there, and I tell him, like, look, man, I'm going to move. Like, I'm going to go, dude. Like, and I could tell, it was a weird moment, It was like we were boys, man, and then it just kind of went to, like, we had to go our separate ways,
I mean, yeah, if did you say like hey, I just wanted to thank you for all the stuff, but I gotta go.
I mean,
hopefully we can remain friends, or was it just like a?
And at the time, I was getting a little bitter too. We all were. Like, we just were all passionate about this, and to just see it kind of go and all this stuff, it hurt. It was all hurtful stuff. And I was just like, well, man, I want to jam with you, but it just, things aren't working out, or it won't happen. And I feel like my time is up now in the city, and I got to go, man. Like, and just, I still always wish them the best. I always felt that deep down, even though yes, sure, there was shit feelings towards each other, or we were mad at each other. I think, we all felt like that. But at the end of the day, I wanted them to always do good and to succeed and keep going. But it is always a little tough when it's like, you thought it was going to be all together.
Right. You wanted it to
that's
be
not
all
reality.
together, yeah.
That's not always the case. You can't take everybody with you, or you can't be brought along, or that's just how it goes sometimes. And it's just it's shitty, because it hurt at the time, man. And I was just like, wow, I'm totally leaving this place. And a lot of people weren't talking to me. People were kind of pissed with me.
How weird. That seems just like so weird. Like,
Yeah.
that whole mentality of you're like trying to better yourself, but
Yeah. And then it was just like, I think they felt like, okay, it's not like he's trying to I don't think they saw the bettering myself part. I think they kind of just got like, oh, he has.
It seems like a selfish thing.
Yeah, I think it was just a selfish thing. And then I had a girlfriend. I got a girlfriend at the time, and she's still my girlfriend, and I was just super serious with her. But at the same time, it wasn't like I was just like giving up on the band, or like, blowing it off. I wasn't blowing it off, but they kind of felt like, oh, you're leaving because of her, or you're leaving because of this. And it was like some Yoko shit. And it was like, no, it's totally not that. It's just, I really want my GED, and I fucking met someone who kind of like is telling me, like, you can do it. Like, go get that shit. You can do better. You can get a better fucking job. You don't have to stay dishwashing and fucking bussing tables, because that's all I was doing out there in Albuquerque. I mean, there's no fucking opportunities out there. I mean, if you wanted to work, they just wanted to be like, oh, you can do this. And especially if you had fucking long hair and wasn't looking the norm, because out there it's like just different. And they were just giving me the shit jobs out there. And when I finally kind of was like, you know what, I got the drive to go get my damn GED. I got the drive to fucking get more out of life, so I'm just going to do it now, and I did. But then when I came back with that drive that I wanted to give into the music again, everybody was sailed off, and everybody was doing what they had to do. And that was like, it was a blow to me, man. It really was, because James and I, we were supposed to be together to the end, and that wasn't going to happen. And that wasn't a fucking reality I had to like come to terms with. And that shit was a hard pill to swallow, man. But there I am. I gotta go. So I leave, and I go to Colorado, bro. And
now, why Colorado?
it's just because it was right up, it's right next door, neighboring. And I used to live in Colorado Springs. That's where I kind of like, got my start kind of playing guitar. And I just always loved Colorado, man. I've always loved the forestry and just the mountains and the air and the city. I mean, if you've been to Denver,
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I love
and
that
just-
place, dude.
dude. I mean,
I love
it's
Colorado.
fucking cool, and you know that.
Got some good weed out there too.
Hell yeah, man! The weed was getting legalized and all that shit. Yeah, and so I went, and it was tough. I think I really grew up more because then I was away from my parents, and I had to work like 2 jobs. But then that's how I was like getting into detailing. I'd go and detail in the morning from 7 in the morning to 2. And then after 2 o'clock, I would go home and chill for a little bit, and then be at a restaurant from like 5.
Oh, so
to
you're doing the
midnight.
2-job thing too, like myself. Okay. So
Yeah,
that
I was doing that, and I was losing my fucking mind, dude, because I was like,
Were you the only one working, or was
at the time,
the lady working?
at the time,
Okay.
and I was just losing my fucking mind, dude, because I was like, I was a musician. I was this dude who was playing music. I was this dude who had this fucking sick band, and I kind of tossed it out, and I felt like that.
I don't think you did. I
But,
think
you
you
know,
wanted to better
and
your
it-
situation, and the
yeah,
band was
it-
just not a part of that.
And at that time, dude, it was hard for me to kind of see that, dude. And I literally kind of like, you ever see that movie, The Wrestler?
Oh yeah, dude.
Like, dude, I had a moment like that at one of my jobs, bro. Remember when he like, well, I mean, I didn't fucking throw my hand into a fucking meat cutter
You mean
and shit.
his
the thumb.
Yeah.
But I kind of like went crazy like that, dude. I was like, I worked all day detailing, and
Yeah,
then
your
I would come,
boiling point just
and then I
fucking-
came to the restaurant, and I'll just always have my music playing, and
Right.
maybe that wasn't a good thing to have that music there because it was just constantly making me think about music, and like I was doing it, and then just one day I just was like, I literally started just fucking like throwing shit, and just was like, I can't fucking deal with this fucking shit, and I literally just like told that place like, I can't fucking work here, I can't do this
Right.
shit no more, I'm gonna fucking go mad up in here. And then I was like, okay, I want to kind of start getting back into this music shit, whether it's with James or it's with Mikey or it's with Dom or it's with anybody. It's like I gotta stay going, and it's like it sucks that no one wants to talk to me right now, but I'm just gonna keep going.
Well, you got a friend here, so
And
always
that
need
was
you.
thanks. Oh hell yeah! And at the time, man, it was just really good to be alone. It was actually really good to be isolated. Like I wasn't totally alone. I had my awesome girlfriend, and but I did lose the camaraderie of my boys being there,
Right.
where we were just like ripping it up, and it was hard to deal with that. It really is something that I always in a way felt bad about, and still kind of do, but then it's like I hope they do see now, like, hey, like I had to better myself, guys. It wasn't to hurt you. It wasn't because you guys did something. It's just because I felt like at the time I needed to execute something. And sometimes you kind of have to put little things on hold or set it to the side. Doesn't mean I want to leave you forever, but I had to do what I had to do.
Of course.
And it was a big blow to them. It was a big blow to me, but it was a rough fucking time and just being out there isolated. So I kind of started getting into more other kind of styles of music like black metal and rock, black and roll and all that stuff. And I just was like, well, I can be solo, and maybe I'll try searching for that. And
So this is around like 2014, 2015?
yeah, 2014, yeah. And so I'm up there in Colorado just working, grinding as a detailer, but I still always was like, you know what? I want to play music. I still want to do this, and I'm not going to stop. It's not the end. I refuse to believe that this is the end.
Did you ever think about, I know you wanted to play music, did you ever think about like doing a radio show at that time?
No,
to where like
Not at all.
you could do it by yourself. You don't have to rely on
No.
like other people. You can literally
No.
do, you can do it with your chick or whatever, and just show vinyl or something, or something
Mhm,
musically to
something.
where you weren't gonna have a boiling point kind of moment.
Yeah.
Did you ever think of it? Or
No, man, I didn't. I was really just trying to think of like, what do I got to do for us
Because
to
there's other
survive?
options for music.
Yeah.
To do music.
It was like at the time too, it's like I wasn't even into podcasts. Like they were there, but man, like there was nothing going on like how it is now, where everybody's listening to Joe Rogan Experience and all
Oh
that
no,
stuff.
they're listening
like,
to Poppitt's Corner right now.
yeah, yeah. See, there you go. Like all that stuff, I was like, I didn't think about
But I
it.
do love Joe's show.
Yeah, Joe. But I just didn't think about that. I was just like thinking, I got to maybe find musicians. So I went through that whole fucking nightmare of going on Craigslist and trying to find people through there.
This is definitely 2014.
Woo! Don't go there, man, if you're trying to find some talent. I mean, you can get lucky sometimes, but You can find some weird people, man.
Oh yeah.
I found
Oh
some.
yeah.
It's like, why did I fucking?
So you moved to Colorado,
Mm-hmm.
in like a couple years after the Nuclear Rain record comes out, and then does Taylor hit you up when you're living in Colorado,
dude,
or
like,
do you?
it was
kind of
crazy
because
it was like, the NR guys weren't talking to me, but Taylor was still talking to me, and he was just like, dude, like he was still a homie then, and it was nice because we still were there, like we'll still do Dread sometime. Maybe we can get these guys to agree to do a reunion show, and what happened? A reunion show ended up happening and coming out of that after time kind of passed. Like after talking about it, we're like, all right, let's.
Was it the same four or five guys?
So yeah, it was going to be Taylor, James, Mikey, Dom, and I. And then it was also going to kind of be like an NR mix lineup too, like where, we would have actually. So since we had a bass player named Joe, that was just like he never tracked anything with us in Dread.
But he was like your live guy or something?
He was our live guy.
Okay.
And we had him come and play on that reunion. And then when NR would go on stage, when we would do the set where Nuclear Rain would play some songs, then Dom would come out. So we did like a reunion thing where we kind of like that. And that was kind of like our goodbye to Albuquerque. That was like, thank you for all that, Right. And I remember being for my set.
And it was packed, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. I was happy, man. And, I remember telling the crowd, like, if you were here in the beginning and you came to the shows and you supported.
Fuck, I wish I was out there then.
Thank you.
I would have been there.
That meant the world to us. And, it was our goodbye to them. There was people who were fans. There's still fans of ours out there. And, I'm glad we kind of said goodbye to them.
Right.
It was something instead of nothing.
Right. And so Taylor hit you up immediately after, and then you guys relocate to, not you per se, but the band relocates to Los Angeles.
So after that Dread reunion show, literally right after that day, Taylor moved to LA. And he moved up here, and I was like, dude, hell yeah. Go for it, man. Don't stay in Albuquerque because it's easy to get caught up in there. It's easy to stay there your whole life, And so I was pumped, from a friend of mine to go somewhere else and experience new things. And he goes, and, I go back to Colorado, and we're just like thinking, that we weren't really happy with that ending of the reunion. We kind of wanted something else. We just didn't feel like it should have ended like that, And I kind of felt like that. Like if I'm going to end something, I kind of want it to end the way I would love to see it get to, or at least close to it. And so we weren't satisfied with that ending, and so we still talked about, well, maybe let's start another Dread album. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. But at the time, I was working a lot, and then also I was traveling. Like, I was going to places like Mexico.
Mm.
I even went to Guatemala. And going to Guatemala was like fucking cool, dude, because I got to go in those jungles and shit, and I felt like I was in the Predator and stuff. But I fucked up because I ended up like kind of going around livestock, and something happened. I thought it was the food, but I kind of think it's either the food or the livestock being around animals that fucked me up, because I ended up coming back home, and all of a sudden I started noticing my toes started swelling up, and all of a sudden like my fucking like ankles swelling up. Now my fucking knees swelling up. Now it's hard to walk. Now I can't walk. And I was like, what the fuck's happening to me? And what I had to go to the hospital, get all these tests done.
Is this in the course of like a week or a day?
Dude,
or
this
just
was
like a year?
It was like a course of like, I was sick as fuck when I was in Guatemala, and I thought it was the food. And then I come back home, and I thought I got better, but I really didn't. Because then all of a sudden I started noticing like weird symptoms. My eyes were all getting fucked up, and all this crazy weird shit started happening to my body. And then I was like losing my ability to walk.
Oof.
And literally, like, I mean, there's no footage of it or like stuff, like who the fuck wants to remember me like that? But literally, dude, I was wheelchair bound for like 2 months, almost 3 months, and I didn't know what the fuck was going on with me, because I went to the hospital and they were like, okay, we did all these tests, we thought you had some crazy sexual disease or something like that. And thank the powers it wasn't like that.
You
It
didn't
wasn't.
fuck your food or anything,
no.
right? Okay.
And so they're like, what you have, they had to call the main doctor down who was doing some operation and shit. And he came down and he was like, I've only seen this 2 times in my career. You have something called reactive arthritis in your legs. And either you're going to start walking in 2 weeks again, or it might be 2 years. And this inflammation you're seeing in your joints and all this stuff and your toes and all that, whenever your body's going to have that happen to it when just you're not eating right, you're just something's caused this. We don't know how it happens. I've only seen this happen to 2 people. I mean, he had to call some other doctor to confirm it in another state. And here I am just okay, so I can't walk, and I need to walk because I need to work. I need to go on stage. I need to do all this stuff. I got my whole life.
How about to drive?
All this shit, dude. I mean, you ain't shit without your health, man.
No.
You ain't shit without your fucking health or family. And, dude, it was so tough. It was so tough. And, to then even have, all the music and stuff be in the past, and now I'm thinking, am I gonna fucking walk again? Am I gonna be able to be normal again? Yeah, sure, I'll walk, but do I have to use this fucking cane or this fucking walker or get wheeled in? Because that's what it was like for a while. And I had Taylor there. I had I was talking to Mikey and stuff. I had some friends still around, and but I wasn't talking to James, and I didn't have certain people that
should have been there.
And it's just it's not I felt you needed to be there, but
well,
it was just like I said in the beginning, man, we started the band and we always felt it's gonna be till the end, man, and no matter what, sure, bullshit's gonna happen, but we're always gonna stick together. And just but just seeing all these people that were once there and not there, and then I had all this stuff happen to me, when you can't walk, you really are sitting there for a lot of times just in your own head thinking about a lot of stuff. And, shit, dude, Taylor was like, well, you know what, man, I know this is happening to you, but we're going to still put out an album. We're still going to do this. And I was like, you know what, Taylor, I have to do it. Even though I have reactive arthritis in my legs and I'm not walking, and now I started feeling it in my hands. I was like, I need to put something out in case this becomes permanent. I need to just put something out one more time if this is going to be my fucking life.
This is it, then this is it.
Yeah. And at the time, we were just so pressed for shit to, we have to kind of get this going because who knows if I'm going to be good or not.
Right.
And at the time, Mikey, he was writing material and stuff, but we were just not in, we weren't we just didn't feel okay, this is what the new album needs. We just didn't feel it was what the new album we're trying to do. And, then we just had some stuff just falling out. And in my head, kicking out Mikey out of Dread when it was about to start up again for this new album, we ended up kicking him out.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, we ended up kicking him out. And it was only just because, sitting here now, I feel selfish in a way because it's oh, man, I was literally feeling I don't know if I'm going to make it and be able to play still. But I was just I told him, I was look, dude, I don't have a lot of time, I feel right now, to kind of fuck around. I need a certain sound, I need a certain thing, I need a certain sort of dedication, and we just weren't getting that. And so we ended up letting Mikey go. And it was just pretty much Taylor and I just writing all the material for what was going to be From This World to the Next. And really that album was really written, the songs I wrote on there, it was just me fucking, I couldn't even walk, dude. And it was just, we weren't playing games, but we weren't playing games for other reasons. It was because of my health,
Right.
And that was fucked up. It was really fucking with my psyche, thinking this might be my last. I might have to be, going to treatments all the time and doing other stuff, and that's gonna be my life, and all this is gonna be a memory.
Right.
And that shit hurt, man. That shit fucking fucked with me a lot. And Taylor was like, we're gonna still put out an album. And I was like, all right. So we keep going, him and I. And we ended up getting a new kid that I really, he He was a friend of mine through Albuquerque that I was seeing play, like kind of how you saw, like, or you said other bands, did they start out after you guys left? And like he was in one of those thrash bands that started when we left. And I always liked his style, and I was like, dude, would you want to come play for Dread? I need another rhythm guitar player. It's Vincent Garcia is like his real name, but we just call him Vinny G in the album.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Really nice guy. Yeah,
we all talked at the 5-star show.
Yeah, he's still a buddy of mine, and you know, like we're just like, all right, let's try to get this happening, and I did a lot of crazy shit to try to get my health back in line so I could work again, so I could play music, I could walk, I could do all that. I went vegan for a full year, which was like really hard for me to do because I loved meat. I loved just eating whatever I wanted to eat.
You like cheese too?
Yeah. So I did all this stuff to just try to get my health back in together, and you know, we were able to go out there, and I'm able to walk again. But I mean, it's like you got to take it slow. You know, we were able to record the demo, and then we're like, all right, man, who do we want to get to record this? We're like, let's get Arthur Risk to record this. He's did like
he did Eternal Champion.
Yeah,
he did
he did, and then he did like, you know, also
he did
he plays
Trip.
in that, and then the
he
Power
did
Trip and
Trip,
stuff.
right.
Yeah, you're right. And yeah, like, dude, like we're like, let's get this guy, and then we get everything planned. He hears what we did the demo, and he's like, yeah, I'll record you guys, and we're like, yes, fuck yeah, dude.
And he's in Texas, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I don't know where he's from, man.
I think
but yeah.
I'll have to look it up. I think he's in Texas, so it's kind of close to. But you're not in New Mexico at that point.
Yeah, and well, I'm in Colorado. Taylor's in L.A. So we're kind of like meeting up in New Mexico to kind of record demos. But then we're like, we want to record this out there, so I'll go out there to come record with you. And so we like record the demo. Arthur's like, yeah, I'll do it. And then a month passes by, and Arthur's like, hey, dude, I can't do it. I wish I could be there to record you guys, but I can't be behind there to man all the knobs and all that. So I'm gonna, with the studio that we're gonna use for me to record you still go to that studio, but you're gonna have the guy who owns it record it for you.
So it's called Pit Recording Studio.
Yeah, the Pit.
At the Pit
and the owner of that is Taylor Young from Nails and Twitching Tongues.
It's a good guy to have.
And I didn't know anything about him before up until then. But once I like knew where I was going and did my research, I was like, whoa, he's the shit.
Right.
This guy's awesome. So, we go in there and we record with him, and we get the album done, which was, we did it in like 5 days, I believe. We recorded this in like 5 days.
And Taylor was doing drums as well, so you didn't really have a drummer.
So it was just Taylor on drums, and then he was writing songs on guitar, and then I was writing songs on guitar, and we kind of just put our material all together, and boom, that's what it was. So really, that album right there, it's like, you have me playing my songs, and then whatever songs Taylor wrote, because I was away at the time going through my illness and stuff. Like, he had Vinny learning his songs so he could play and do all that in the studio. And, dude, like, it was just awesome how it worked out because, we were able to put out an album. Boom.
Right.
There we go. We got another album. And boom, my health's getting better and it's getting good, And then... it's like at the time too, like even like before I think we even went in to go record that too, I ended up going through a suicide in the family too. So that was like, it wasn't my direct family, but it was through my girlfriend's family, and I was just close to her brother. And that was another thing that was kind of like weighing on me doing this album too, just coming back from my health getting fucked up and then dealing with a suicide after that, which is fucking just horrible. I never wish that upon my worst enemies. It's just, don't do that. Talk to somebody.
Right.
And but yeah, this album was like a lot of blows, but it was kind of like good to do it because I was just trying to like stay alive, just trying to stay going, and life was throwing them punches, dude. And this album was, it will always be a special album to me because of just how much it took to fucking get it done.
And how much kind of, not drama per se, but just like
Yeah.
everything that kind of happened.
There's so much loss, you know, with
Is that, so the lyrics, because I wanted to ask real quick too, lyrically speaking, I know you didn't write the actual lyrics, but the lyrics to track 6, which is the title track, who is it about? Because there is like a liner note in here dedicated to somebody.
from this world to the next. I wouldn't know. I do know that.
Oh
Let
yeah,
me see.
that one right there.
So yeah, so what it is like actually Until Again, and Taylor, he actually wrote that song for just, you know, what I was going through, you know.
Right.
And it's like, you know, to me, I always think when you write music, you don't write songs about yourself. You write it for other people to like feel like, oh, I've been there, I experienced that. Like you write songs for you know, that people can relate to, and I think everybody has lost somebody they loved, of course. And that's kind of one of those lyrics. Is like, until again, you know, we will meet again. And
Right.
just, if you listen to the lyrics on there, it's talking about that. People would probably think like it's about a girl that left or some shit.
No, it
but-
clearly says it's
yeah,
it's about a friend. So
But
I
it
didn't
really
know
is,
if
and
it
that
was-
it was, you know, to my brother-in-law, Obed, R.I.P. You know, and we just, you know, he was a fan of Dread. I remember him like. His mom wouldn't let him go to our concerts and stuff. They came from a really religious family.
Gotcha.
And but he was always a fan, man. So it was like, you know, when he passed, I had to, you know, I was like, dude, we gotta put a, you know, thanks to him.
And he did. And
Yeah.
so the record comes out. I loved it. I love this album. I think I've texted you like multiple times saying, dude, like as soon as I put it in, and I think I like yeah, track 5, dude. Sleep with the Last Breath.
Mhm.
It's killer, dude. There's like a killer riff and just it's very meaty sounding. So I really love the production of it. The songwriting is great. The vocals are really cool. It's definitely mixed and mastered by Arthur Ricks. I can totally tell because it's kind of like a boxy kind of sound, and that's what his sound is. If you listen to Eternal Champion and Power Trip and this, it's kind of like all the same kind of style. So.
It's like Taylor Young was behind the booth, and then, you know, it got sent to Arthur, and so it was like it didn't feel like it was too much with Arthur that I kind of wanted it to be, but you know. At the same time, I was so thankful to meet Taylor Young. I mean, I was just so pumped to just have, you know, a new, like, musician to, like, find out about and see, like, whoa, how this guy's killing it. Like, this guy's doing it, man. And it was real neat and, you know, awesome to go and experience recording an album with him and how he records bands and, you know, how he produced this album. Like, there was a lot of ideas he threw out and was like, you guys are going to have to kind of do this, I think, on that. And boom, it kind of even got better. And it was just like, wow, dude, thank you. Like, wow, even the fucking keyboard intro you hear in there. Like, I don't know how to play keys. And I was like, dude, I want a keyboard intro, but I don't know how to do it. And he had a little synthesizer, and he was able to do it for us. You know,
that's really cool.
So in a way,
he's
got, you know, he's putting some stuff into this album too. And it was just like, wow, you know, like Taylor, man, like, I hope to work with that guy again, Taylor Young. I hope to that because he's got a cool studio, man. It's pretty cool.
So I know you're not actually in Dread nowadays.
Yeah, not in Dread anymore.
But you're doing another project. So before we get out of here, at least since we got to finish the story or whatever, I definitely want to get to where you're at now.
Okay.
But I guess before that, what happened? Why aren't you in the Dread project?
Well, you know, I think really what it is that when people want to write music, you know, you got a blueprint. It's like, this is how I want this to go down. This is how this building or this tower, whatever you want to call it, is going to go up. And Taylor, you know, he writes a lot of great music. He's a great guitarist. The dude writes great lyrics. He's just a great artist, man, you know, and I liked his material, and I was like, you're putting good material. You're writing some good stuff. Every time I was trying to write things, I just felt like I wasn't happy with it. I just felt like I'm not happy with how I'm playing right now. I'm not happy with the way that my mind thinks about music. Like, I need to literally reinvent myself. I really need to go and find who I really truly want to be. And sometimes in life, I think when you want to go on this new journey and you have to go through things to become your new self that you're meant to be, it requires losing friends. It requires losing certain circles of
It
people.
requires change.
Yes, like
Change.
mad
dude.
change. And it's changed your mind. Not you're really gonna not like sometimes, or it's really gonna cause beef between you and the other person, or just weird shit, you know. And really, what it is just like,
Do you think it's from that is because of lack of communication, though?
I think it's just the lack of communication, that, and then it's, I would say also that, yeah, just lack of communication, man. And I think also maybe probably being away from each other. We weren't able to kind of like meet in the room all the time. Like if I was going to come out here to play anything from this world to the next, like I just had to show up, and maybe we're lucky if we got a few hours of practice beforehand or a day before, and boom, you know, like we went to the stage right away. So it was just really like fast paced. You got to move. You got to fucking have this already right here, right now. And it was like, you know, it was me, Taylor, Vinny, and
You had a fill-in drummer.
we had
one
fill-in drummers, you know, and fuck, you know, I got to play with one of my heroes, Carlos, dude. You know, I got to out of that
That's
and stuff,
right,
dude. Like,
That's
yeah.
right. When I saw you show your scars, was it Show Your Scars Fest?
It was the festival that Taylor put on, and it was Strike Fest.
Strike Fest.
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, Strike Fest, and so that's where we got to play that one show at Carlos. And man,
That guy rules. I love
fuck,
Carlos.
dude. I wish we could have just like.
He's a
did it.
good dude, man. I
Yeah,
like
he is, and I wish we could. We're at the point where it's like it's not about playing this material. Let's just try to write something else. Like, how cool would it have been if we got to like record something with the dude, or like go on? But you know what? It's all right. I'll always be thankful that I at least got to be on stage with the guy. Like, I'll never forget. We're playing, From This World to the Next, dude, and there's this part where it's kind of like doomy and going, and we kind of had to look at each other to be like, when are we gonna go to the next part, But like, Carlos was like shaking his head, like, no, let's do it a little longer, And then we jumped into the next part, but those moments when you're just playing with people and communicating without saying words. I mean, I was just so thankful to jam with the guy, man, and just to get that fucking moment to just.
that
He
is
was
cool.
one of my heroes,
I
dude.
totally forgot about that. That you got that.
Yeah.
He actually filled in for you.
Yeah, but then so back to just.
I'm sad that
What happens
I'm
is,
sad
like,
that happened. Though.
Yeah,
Just-
we were like, we were done with Strike Fest, and we want to put out another album, and Taylor, he has all these ideas, and I'm like, that's cool. I'm supporting that. I support you, but at the same time, I just kind of felt like, if I'm gonna put anything on this, if I'm gonna come into this, it's just I'm not in the right headspace, and I need to reinvent myself.
It'd be cool if you actually did like a solo on it, though. At least something.
Yeah,
you know?
And I just was like, I told him one day, it was like 4 months ago, I was with him. I went down here to we're gonna start recording the new Dread album, but then things got pushed back into August, so it was like, okay, we're not gonna do it right now. We're gonna have to wait. But I ended up just telling him, like, dude, I think you're going to have to put what you got, and I'll, still throw out leads, whatever you need, backup vocals. But I need to fucking figure out what I want to do and change myself so I can be positive and I could feel like I'm going to be the person who I want to be, and I just have a very high expectations of being a musician. For me, at least, I don't want to leave anything on the table, and I really want to just get as great as I can with the craft, bro. Because
I can respect that.
I knew, like, it's okay to say that there's things you don't know. It's okay to say that you have to get better at certain stuff and you need to work on this and get better at that. It's okay. But I wanted to kind of just take time to get that figured out. And, you know, I think maybe he saw that. I don't know what it was, but I think he just knew that it's like, I don't know, I got this blueprint and he has something going on there. And that it ended up being to where I left and I haven't talked to him ever since. No words, no nothing.
That's why I said earlier I'm sad to hear
Yeah,
this.
and it's just strange because it's like, man, we didn't even fight. We didn't even like say anything like crazy to each other or like, you know, it's not like he.
It just kind of we just went our separate ways, and
yeah,
that
it was just like, all right, dog, see you later. Thinking I'd talk to you again, and it just like, nah, it just didn't happen, you know. And I come back home, and I just kind of let time pass. I ended up going to Mexico, visiting family and stuff, and I come back home.
What part of Mexico?
Sinaloa, and then from there we go to Mazatlan.
I have no idea where that is.
Yeah, it's like a fucking amazing beach town, dude. I mean, like people say, oh, Hawaii's the cool beach town.
Is it
and
middle
stuff,
Mexico? Is it like near Mexico City?
I'm horrible at fucking
I know,
geography.
I am too, dude. I am
like
too.
I said.
But anyway, so you had a good time there.
I had a great time, and I come back, you know. But when I was out there on the beach and enjoying stuff, I was thinking a lot, and you know, it was a lot of meditation stuff. And I found out, you know what, man? I feel like my creativity, I feel like who I am as a person is being suppressed. I'm feeling like I cannot reach my higher self if I stick around in this band. And it's not because they're horrible people or anything like that. It's just
the place I'm in is
it's
just
the place I'm in. I'm not. It's I don't feel like I'm complete. And so I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to tell these guys I need to go. And so when I ended up, you know, just calling Taylor, no answer. So I was like, fuck, I'm just gonna call Vince, tell him what's up. And I told him, hey, Vinny, I ain't feeling it, man. I think I'm gonna go. But he was like, well, man, I didn't want to tell you this, but Taylor doesn't want you in the band, you know. He told me, it was just like, you're too much of an individual. Like, there's no telling you something and you like going with the change. Like, you're gonna be you, and there's no changing that. And I don't want to play that. My blueprint has something else in mind, and so you know,
you can't change his.
No, and I can't
either,
change.
so.
I was like, why? Anyways, why do you want to change people? Don't change people, or like, you should never want to do that. And I thought, well, okay, that's cool then. You want to do your thing, and I actually felt like I wanted to do my own. Like, we can actually leave and kind of be like, okay,
yeah,
you wanted this, I wanted that, and we could have been like, hey, man, I bless you on your new journey. Same to you. But it ended up just being like, yeah, he doesn't want to, you know, he doesn't want you here, and you know, he wants to call you and tell you, but maybe he's afraid of just the things that could be said because it's so fresh and all that stuff. But that's really where it's at, and it is sad. I feel like I at least deserved, like, you're not in this band because of these reasons, because I did that to everybody. Like, I kicked out a lot of people in bands, and when I did, I always called them, or I was always there in their face,
a respect,
and I always told them, you're out for these reasons, you know, and this is why. Like, I'm gonna be a professional with you. Like, yeah, we can still be friends outside and go grab a beer, but like, when it's the band, it's business, and if you're interfering with business or something, like, you got to make these decisions, and they're not easy, you know. And but I always gave the people that respect, and I feel like with as much time as we played together and we jammed, that I should have got that. But it is what it is, and I could be mad, and I could go on and talk shit, and I could be like trying to paint a picture about them now, but I'm not going to, because the thing is I'm on a whole new journey now. And I really, really, really mean it, that I want the best for all my past members, like James and Mikey and Dom and Taylor and everybody. Like, you know, those were amazing times. These albums here, they're time capsules of just great fucking times, like when things were just the best and the problems weren't there. And so I never want to be bitter about it or be talking shit. And I just wish them the best. I wish everybody the best. And thank you for the greatest some of the greatest times of my life. And I hope as time goes on, it's just like we realize that, it's fucking silly. Just because we don't play in a band, we can't talk to each other, like just because I kicked you out or, I got kicked out or something, like we can't be friends or we can't be cordial, like, and that's what it's like kind of with a lot of us, like I don't talk to James really too much. I don't talk to Mikey too much. And of course, what's going on with Taylor. And, I think it's real silly. I think it's real dumb. And I think that time moves so fucking fast that who knows, man? Who knows? One day we might fucking not be here, man. And we don't even get to like really hash it out. And I've heard stories of people that had issues with other people and they'd pass and they're like, well, we didn't even get to talk about it and I wish we did. They always have that regret. And I just hope that we are never going to have that experience with all of us where we just regret that we let the bullshit kind of fucking overflow and all this weird stuff's happening. Because at the end of the day, I still want to kick it with Mikey. Like, I miss calling the dude and cracking up. I miss hitting up James and just talking to him and playing music. I mean, I miss talking to these people. I miss playing with them. And so never do I want them to feel like I'm over here wishing bad on them or wishing for their career to fucking sink or anything like that. Like, if they make it and I don't, dude, I'm going to be happy for them still. I still wish them the best. I still wish them great health and great times for them and their families. And it just, take it as a lesson. If your band's going to end and all that stuff, like, don't fucking be all bitter about it and shit. But it at the same time, it's tough. I get it, like, why people.
Well, I like the Dr. Seuss quote. It was something to the effect of, don't be sad because it's over. Be glad that it happened.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm kind of learning from you as well too. Like, this is how I need to be too.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've reached a point maybe because I'm almost 30.
Yeah.
So I don't want to be that guy anymore, and I don't want to be bitter. I'm not that guy anymore, I want to be happy for everybody and all their successes, because I know how, like you, I know how tough it is to succeed, but I also know what it takes to put in the work to succeed. And when people succeed at that, that's awesome.
For real. And what I've noticed from being a young guy to kind of getting, I'm still young. We're still young.
Right,
but as we're maturing,
right.
I've realized, like, when I used to talk shit and hate and all this stuff, that it made it in my head something not go right, and I wasn't able to continue forward and be my full potential because I'm over here hating. I'm over here talking shit. Oh, that should have been my band, or that should have been us, or like, why are they doing it and we ain't doing it?
You wasted your energy, kind of thing?
I could say that. Okay. Yeah, we were wasting our energy, and I think people sometimes feel like that. I'm gonna be as transparent as fuck. Like, we felt like that sometimes, and I think other people do. Like, if you don't admit it, like, you're kind of a little lying. Like, there's sometimes you are like, man, like, that band's doing so sick. Like, how come that's not us? But it's, I realize, like, after I stopped hating on people, after I stopped fucking being jealous or whatever the fuck you want to call it, I realized amazing things start happening when I just support my friends, when I just support people. Even if nothing's happening for me, I am just happy now to support my friends and see them do great, because to me, that just, I want to see that reality. I want to see everybody happy. I don't want to see people sad or hurt or left behind. I don't. And it's just, I realized that once I started bringing positivity into my life and stopped letting this low negative energy fuck with me, man, like, I have all these new ideas again. I have all this music that's just pouring out of me. I have all this art that I just have to fucking create. And sometimes it takes a step back from everybody and, just having the family, the close friends, And you know, I'm so thankful I got close friends and family here. I'm so thankful, bro, that you came into my life, dude. I mean, I
I've
mean
always
that.
been
Like,
here, man. I
you
appreciate
know,
that.
I really am thankful I met you and we're like boys, and you know, all this stuff came out of it. Like, you know, getting to be on the show to me is kind of like a turning point. Like, because I now get to be the person who I always wanted to be. And I now get to be, you know, AD that is the higher self I've always was chasing for, and I can give you that art that people want, you know, or like, you know, I can finally feel like there's nothing missing now, you know. And it sucks that, yeah, to go on this journey to become a newer self, you kind of have to lose people on the way. But I like that Dr. Seuss quote, you know, just be happy that, what was it, like, be happy
It
that,
was. I think it was. Don't be sad
don't be
that
sad.
that it's over. Be glad that it
yeah,
happened.
be glad
And
that
I'm
it
like,
happened.
I use that quote to this day for me. I'm like, that's profound for me.
Yeah.
But I want to, before I let you go, where are you at now musically wise?
So now where I'm at musically wise is I fucking just want to put out, you know, everything that I worked for. I want to just showcase where I'm at, you know, and I have been recording some new stuff. I have a single that's about to be coming out soon.
Where can people find it?
So you'll be able to find a lot of my stuff through my social media stuff, my Instagrams, my Facebooks, and then I got into also not just music, but I'm getting into this whole broadcasting, streaming stuff. And I'm into playing my video games, but also I want to be able to play my music on these, you know,
that's super cool.
on these platforms, because, you know, everybody's at home right now, chilling,
We
you
appreciate
know,
you
and they
tuning
thank
in.
you for being here. But, you know, it's like most people just want to, like, be at home. And they just, you know, because they work, they got a lot of shit going on, they got kids. I mean, not everybody can go out to shows, and that's understandable. And I feel like entertainment now is going to be through the cell phone. Everybody's on their fucking phones 24/7.
Right.
So I feel like if I can be there anytime with my content, and whenever they want to view it anywhere around the world, it's there. You know, if I want to do live streams where I'm playing my music on that, and that's like a live concert for me, you know, and that's cool. Like, I've seen people have a shit ton of viewers watching them, and it's like 600 people just watching, 500 people. Like, that's sometimes more than a fucking show that
Right.
you really throw off in real life. And it's like, I feel like the future is the internet, and I want to be there. I want to be on the internet more than I ever was before, so I can get out there as far as I can go. And I think, like, yeah, I'm going to be streaming. You know, you'll catch me streaming video games, playing music, talking about music. But then, you know, I'm still always going to be doing band stuff. I don't think that will ever stop. And it's not the end of me, for sure. I definitely will be coming out with singles. But I'll probably be more internet-based. I probably won't be printing out much stuff unless I know that there really is going to be you know,
An avenue for
yeah,
it.
like there's gonna be consumers for it. And until then, I'm just gonna keep writing music and just try to be the artist that I want to be through the net, you know. And it's so nice to have the internet, because you can do literally anything that you want. It's
Right.
endless what you can do. So if you you know, I just love the fact that I can just go live and boom, people are able to see what I'm doing and be there with me. And that's my new dreams, man. I hope to just make a really badass Twitch gaming channel where, you know, I'm just there having fun. And you can there talk to me. You can hit me up in the chat and say, "What's up, AD?" And I will talk to you, and I'll be thankful to have you there.
And I'm thankful for you coming on the show. And I
Oh,
hope
dude.
you're you know, I wish nothing but the best for you.
Thanks, dude.
And I hope you can come back on soon. I thank you
Any
for making
fucking
the
time,
trek
dude.
to come down here. I know, you know, it's based out of the garage.
Dude.
This will be on Spreaker. I just got a Spreaker account, so I'm going to
Sick.
upload this to all those streaming sites, Spotify.
Yeah.
So this will be all over the place. I have to do it in parts because
It's all right.
it is what it is. So, but Mr. AD, thank you very much for coming on Poppitt's
Dude,
Corner and giving me
anytime.
a couple minutes of your time.
Anytime.
So
Thank you, man.
thank you, man.
All
Hey,
right, brother.
look for Mr. AD. Another Poppitt's Corner episode. I'm out of here. I want to thank my guest, AD, for coming on. Thank you so much, sir.
Hey, cheers. Cheers, everybody. Fuck yeah.